Here. All right. It says we are live, so I'm going to assume we are live. Let's check the channel here quick. I want to double check. Oh, here we go. All right. We are live, the DRS Zone podcast, daily racing stories. Good morning, Rory and Wayne. How are you boys doing? Gentlemen, I should say.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Wayne. I'll get out of the screen here. I'm actually on the circuit. Wayne, I didn't see you. It looks like you may have your back to a hotel room there in Jeddah or on the paddock. Where are you joining us from?
I'm currently in Michael Massey's house at the minute. So
don't say hi to him for me, Rory. Don't forget to flush either before you leave. Yeah. So hopping on this morning here with the main topic obviously being the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. We had some spaces last night. I didn't have a chance to hop in for a lot of them just because of unfortunately March Madness going on here, which took some of my energy and time. But just want to get your guys' thoughts, just initial reaction to the events. Obviously, there's been some, bombings going on in the area. I believe roughly around 10 kilometers from the racetrack. Any initial thoughts from you guys when you first heard the news?
Well, for me, obviously, the safety of not just the drivers but the team principals and the staff, the mechanics, the engineers. That's what initially came to mind, hoping that everybody was all right. And then obviously quickly turning to what should happen next, vis-a-vis cancellation was where I initially got to.
Yeah, same as me. I knew previous to this race weekend there were missile attacks as well, reported by verified sources, and I was a bit uneasy about this race weekend so far of what was going to happen. And after seeing those reports or those videos online, I was absolutely shocked. Like Rainmaker said, I immediately thought about drivers, staff, everyone who's in that area, hoping that they're safe, staying safe, and there's no casualties or anything like that. But yeah, it's a dangerous and tragic situation.
Yeah, I think it's hard as Formula One fans. It's somewhat, in some ways, I don't want to say it's a cultural thing, but on a space I was in yesterday, there's different groups in different countries and different regions of the world that are known for fighting each other for hundreds of years. And this weekend could be obviously, a result of that in some ways. I'm not going to speak on it entirely because I don't know the full history there. But you would assume in some ways they wouldn't, have had the race go there without some sort of debriefing amongst teams or security, whoever it is beforehand. But obviously, when you see that close, it's concerning as a fan, I think, in general, regardless of what perspective, outside of being local, just for the sense, because, you don't know if there's going to be a stray missile or something else like that. And then we got ourselves World War III on the hands. So that was my biggest concern. And the crazier thing, I think, for me was the fact that, this circuit in general last year had so many, not casualties of cars to say the least, but a lot of spin outs, a lot of everything like that. And this is kind of just like the cherry on top before the races even started. We're already getting some sort of carnage, at least in the area. So that was kind of one of my takeaways. We obviously did, have a drivers meeting last night. We saw it into free practice at all. Were you guys staying up to date pretty much live when those events were unfolding at all?
Yeah, I tried to, I was up till a little after 1 a.m, trying to keep tabs on what was going on. Mm-hmm. You're a driver, and we know they need absolute concentration. I think especially the fastest circuit in the F1 series, being out there, and needing to concentrate on what you're doing. But as as a human being, having the safety concerns in the back of your mind, it could prove challenging for drivers, to do their jobs. I don't know enough about the conflict, but obviously it's Iran. The Houthi rebels are Iranian backed, fighting against the Yemeni government, and by proxy the Saudi Arabian government. Um, so they see them as oppressors in the bigger scheme of things. That's as much as I can say about it, because I don't know enough about the internal politics of it to say who's right, who's wrong,
Yeah.
that sort of stuff. But that's a broad sense of what I got from it. And it sounds like they see this as an opportunity to gain notoriety
Mhm.
for their cause.
Yeah.
I go back to the fact that this started to percolate, few days ago, maybe a week. And at that point, should they have thought about canceling the race? Who knows? But after this incident, you go back to, for us stateside, you go back to 9/11, and then a series of incidents. This morning, and I'm long-winded here, but there was some tweet about a marshal wishing harm to Hamilton.
Yeah.
It takes one guy, one person, and you have no idea. So I don't know that you take that risk on, regardless of the cost.
Mhm.
One life is not worth it. So I know I'm a little long-winded here, but I don't know that they're doing the right thing,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
I think you bring up a really great point about that too, Wayne, obviously, because it comes to, obviously, the drivers in this sense are really at the forefront of the issue. It's the team principals can be all they want, but even as I'm not going to quote Toto Wolff because of, Netflix and not exactly what he said, but his job in some ways is really to generate money for these teams and revenue and a lot of different things. And as team principal, you're almost obligated outside of, what safety concerns there might be to probably want to propel that race to go forward regardless of the circumstances. Not saying him in particular, but just in general. So for me, and Rory and I briefly chatted about it, was, there's so much controversy around Netflix and Drive to Survive. And when you really look at the bigger stories here in the off season, we look at Russia, we look at Mazepin, and we're condemning Russia for invading Ukraine, which is essentially starting a new war, when we're not condemning Saudi Arabia for a war that's probably been waged for, again, multiple years. So there is some irony in there, but I can, try to see both sides. But when you look at it too, it's like Drive to Survive. If we're talking about moments, like this is one moment where Drive to Survive could really get it right and really bring light to the sport. They are the fly on the wall there. And this is something that, Drive to Survive gets dramatized and all this and all that. Well, it is kind of drama. So I don't want to make it more dramatized than it needs to, but this could be a real moment where they really could get it right and maybe really shed light to the fans who've watched the show who are F1 fans that have really lost faith in the way that they portray not only that and F1. And
Absolutely.
For me, this is the one thing I know about you guys. I tweeted it yesterday and I just said, this is where I wish Sebastian Vettel was on social media, because he is a great voice for the sport, regardless of if you love or hate him, where, he's someone, I'm sure other drivers who are younger on the grid who don't have that voice or who are afraid to speak up because of maybe being reprimanded, he can be their voice. And I think the important thing to note is even like someone like Lewis Hamilton, who also probably takes a good role for that. They're not only the driver's voice, they're the voice, for that whole paddock. And that's something I think as fans, we maybe not understand right away, where it's, as much as it's a driver's decision, hey, this is my team's decision. And that's probably why, I don't know how you guys feel, but I'm going to guess that's why that meeting really went into the longer hours, because I don't know what the discussion was, but if I'm a driver and it's my team, even if I want to race and collectively my team doesn't, I'm probably going to think twice about it, So.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's like you said, Netflix this could be Netflix's only chance to like make a show, like to show F1 in what actually F1's true character is, or it could be F1 will say, "Oh, we don't want you to show this because this shows us in a bad light. We don't want to be exposed." That could be the reality that you saw, you saw with like the Abu Dhabi, like last year, like that was very censored in a sense what they showed and what they didn't show. So yeah, so it's, remember, F1 has a say in what goes on Netflix and doesn't. But like, I'm not going to speak much about the conflict, but I have heard and seen people mention that is the anniversary of 8 years of since conflict has begun today. So it's a dangerous situation, because I pray that nothing happens or anything bad happens, but there is a risk that something could happen today, and I don't want that to be anyone to lose their be casualties or lose their lives. But yeah, it's I think that driver meeting went like they said. First, Stefano Domenicali came out and said all the team and drivers unanimously agreed, and then that was twisted in a sense. Well, why are they holding a meeting for 4 hours by the drivers on their own? And yeah, it's definitely they are the voice. Like, the drivers are not caring about them; they're caring about their mechanics, the people they work with. Like, the drivers, like someone said, the drivers are the only ones who can actually like make an issue, because they're the ones who actually drive in the race. The teams just provide the cars and like that, but they can't make money, or the teams can't go racing unless they have drivers in the cars. So yeah.
There was again unconfirmed reports that they could be detained if they decided not to race, but it was unconfirmed. It was flying around Twitter. So it, and Benedetto, I think Matteo spoke, and he thought that, or at least it seems like the principles are unified. Yes, Vettel's voice is missing. I think Russell is Russell the president of the...
No, he's a deputy director. He's under Vettel. Vettel's the president, and then it's Russell.
So the Vettel being an elder statesman, being absent from that room is meaningful to how this turned out. And obviously Lewis is an elder statesman at this point in time. Max definitely has clout in that room, at this point in time. But beyond that, you see where there might be a lack of real leadership without Vettel in the room, but it sounds to me like they didn't, or the majority of the drivers didn't want to drive, if you're reading between the tea leaves, but they felt compelled to.
Yeah. I'm just going to say there was unconfirmed reports, but that Vettel was actually on FaceTime with the drivers. But like he might have been in there or might not. That's what some journalists are reporting. But yeah.
I wouldn't doubt it. I'm sure obviously he wanted his voice to be heard. And going back to what you had said, Wayne, I think the team principal, obviously for Ferrari, Mattia, had said that, it had been a long night per the Sky F1. And that's something too that would be interesting, obviously, if the race is going forward in qualifying, where we have drivers that are in some ways probably on edge. I'm sure you have, like anything, some that were just like, okay, whatever result it is, I'm indifferent. Like, I want to race. I don't, whatever's safe, and the group decides, okay, I'll do. But then you have to imagine this is obviously at some points, I'm sure maybe it was a heated discussion, but to have that race or to have that conversation rage on into the night, if you already had a long practice, everything like that, I got to imagine there's going to be some sort of physical or maybe even a little bit of emotional fatigue here for some of these drivers. So I have to anticipate even today going forward, there might be a little bit of shakeup in qualifying just from that. But again, obviously the time will decide all.
Yeah, it can't be good. It can't be good for folks who have to be on their game. It's disconcerting, and again, you go back to the lack of real rest. It's just not a good situation. But hopefully this turns out well. They get out of there and they move on. It's ironic though that, again, we're here when Vettel and Hamilton, you know, we're always sharing concerns about these countries that F1 races, and they're not going to listen to us. But should they rethink their priorities? Absolutely.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I definitely think definitely after this race, F1 needs to actually come out and say why they actually raced in Saudi Arabia, why they actually give us the fans, give stakeholders a reason why they actually the details on why they believed it was safe to stay in F1 when they knew there was a threat to their safety and like that. And if this was like going back to say we go back to Spa for example, it's completely different situations, but like they didn't race. They did 2 laps in the rain when it was raining, but they're still racing when there's like a threat of like missile attacks or whatever, like, and it's a threat to your actual safety and like being like death or life. Like it's pretty extraordinary how F1 and horrible that they're taking this risk when they say that the safety is for F1 for the drivers, staff, journalists, fans, but in reality, just I think what Lewis Hamilton said in Australia 2020, cash is king. It's something that is it F1 is it's just when you think of F1 now, it's just money. It's yeah, that's my opinion. It's
Mhm.
just
Yeah, and the hard part, which we'll never see even as fans, even if the F1 whatever and FIA admit what they have to, we don't know what the conversations even behind closed doors ever entailed just between the higher ups in that sport and local governments or people of power in the area. I would obviously hope though that it would be interesting to see again Netflix's portrayal if they even do it, because in my opinion, if they decide not to air that or kind of go over it, I think that says enough about the Drive to Survive series in general, because you're not covering what truly has transpired. So I'm with you though. This is something that's going to be controversial in a lot of light, but this isn't this isn't a split reaction human error, if you will, that we've seen in previously. Like Abu Dhabi. So I guess going forward, and this is something too, I think we're just as fans, and Rory, you kind of hit it in the head a little bit, make a report, but why not just do something live? Do a press conference, actually be face to face. Don't be, if you want to address the problem, be active with it. Don't be passive with it, because I think a lot of fans are just going to keep guessing, and it's might be better off just to rip the Band-Aid off quick rather than slowly try to peel the thing off, because I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of pushback and from fans in different reasons.
It's universal condemnation. You you probably can't find 10% of fans who probably think they should be there at this point in time. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, based on what I'm seeing, regardless of which team you like, which driver you like, it just feels like the fans are coalescing around the fact that they feel like they should get out. And Ben Sulayem, they look like they're floundering around to me. They just look bereft of leadership and like they're making this thing up as they go along. Up to this point, he does not seem up to the challenge, you know. But I'm looking at this from afar. I'm not, you know.
mhm.
But he just seems like, and the FIA seems like they're floundering around from crisis to crisis and
Mm-hmm.
making it up as they go along, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was sorry. I was just reading an article where it was interesting, and I'm just going to more or less paraphrase, but long story short, it was a few years ago, WWE, which is, the professional wrestling here in the States, and an anonymous former WWE wrestler had confirmed that their plane was detained in Saudi Arabia after a WWE event. So they're essentially held against their will, just from going forward after, essentially being forced or coerced into participating in doing their sport in that country. And I'm not going to say something that has or hasn't happened, but it really does make you think with F1 if that's kind of what the case was and why the talks did go on. Them trying to more or less kind of dance around the fact, which we'll never know if it's truly true or not. But with F1 known presence than WWE here in the States, one could imagine that it could be that way. But unfortunately, if cash is king, you would just hope that, and Rory and I chatted about this before, Wayne, I'd be curious to hear your take. I was saying if the FIA or F1 was trying to do it right, and if there was enough backlash, and we're talking about expanding the grid in the season, why even keep the race there? If it's money and we know other circuits, why not? If you want to make a true statement, just say, you know what, just because of any controversy that might keep coming, because if they go next year, the same thing might happen again. Who knows? Just rip up the contract and go from there if they can. I don't know.
Exactly. And yes, again, it's unconfirmed report that they could be held against their will. But you have drivers from literally every country. The condemnation, the pressure that would be brought to bear would be unbelievable. And I cannot see them just wandering into a political crisis, like this, because it would make them a pariah going forward. So yes, if they wanted to leave, I believe they could have.
Yeah, like how you said, like they don't want to become a political situation. Like even like Boris Johnson, UK Prime Minister, he condemned the attacks immediately after they happened. You saw the US condemn the attacks. It's like, and then you saw Christian Horner come out and say we need to stand united sport. It was like something like there's either a situation of, they said, if we can't, if F1 cancelled the race, it looked like that the rebels won. And the reason why they're keeping the race is they want to basically say that the Saudi government doesn't want to concede to the rebels. That's why I think it's going ahead that they. But if someone made the point that if that's the case, they win if someone gets injured or someone gets hurt. It's not. You can't just do that because you want you don't want to concede. You have to do what's the best outcome for anyone, the safest outcome.
Yeah. And it makes you think, even if the race is quote unquote deemed safe, will we see something, which I believe it was in Indy in 2005 where a bunch of drivers had protested a race. Will we see something similar to that possibly? Because part of me thinks, just with the moral compass, racing or not, just knowing Sebastian Vettel, heck, maybe even Lewis Hamilton in that sense too, they might just refuse to completely participate in general. And that's something we don't even know, qualifying or not. They can wait to take their stand if they really wanted to.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see them, on track, do some sort of gesture in terms of driving formation, not costing themselves any chance in the race, obviously, but some sort of driving formation.
Yeah. Silent protest in a way.
Yes,
yeah.
Something.
Mm-hmm.
It would be nice to see. But the Crown Prince is going to be there. And I tweeted this last night. I think that I think we're in a space with Diplomat, and I was talking about this, and I said what we're not seeing is probably unprecedented in terms of, because at the end of the day, they themselves can't afford an international incident that harms, and but when you have a marshal or marshals saying the kind of things that they're saying, and these guys are going to have unfettered access, it takes one guy. All it takes is one person to do untold damage. And then if we want to get a little deeper, you go back to Jamal Khashoggi, the New York Times, and they shouldn't be there. They should not be there. If the sport, if F1, if the FIA, Sky Sports, all of these stakeholders, if they truly meant some of the things they said, they should not be there. They should refuse to go there. They can drive change. Because if the sport is so important to the Saudi Arabians, then make the changes, or at least start to make some changes that would tell the international community that you're trying to reform yourselves, to be part of,
Yeah, that's a great take. I meant to say too, did you guys, because there's been a huge change with the graphics this year. And by the way, I don't like the new ones. I'm just going to throw it out there. Last year's was way better, way easier to follow. The new number system, it's It's
Yeah.
not good. I'm not a fan. But I meant to say with the graphics going on, and maybe this is just me, and I don't being naive. I don't think I've seen the We Races one really like commercialized this year, even before this race. Am I wrong? Have you guys seen that at all?
No, no, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
So
right with that.
I think there's definitely some irony though, and it's you know I there's a proverbial line I say sometimes where it's like, you know, don't throw stones if you live in glass houses, and that's kind of the way that unfortunately Formula One works in some ways. But I did think it was interesting they dropped that in some degree.
Funny, Mazepin had to go because the Russian war obviously has caught everybody's attention, and Mazepin had to go. You know, so the hypocrisy here in saying that, hey, we can't have this guy in the sport because of what this dictator did over here, but we're okay over here. You know,
Yeah.
it's rank hypocrisy because the scenarios are different. But this war has been going on much longer than this Russian-Ukraine war. Whoever, regardless of whoever is right or wrong, you know, so you could have made the decision that because of this conflict and your failure to address it over the last 6, 7, 8 years, you know, plus the human rights abuse that we know that go on with LGBTQ folks, you know, the lack of certain basic rights for women in general, you had an opportunity.
Ooh,
You know,
we had sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. We got AMG Dens is coming in. Sorry, I didn't mean to get you in too hot here, my man. I just saw you pop up.
Bro, no worries, man. I didn't know you guys were live because no one told me.
I text you, but I forgot to text. So
Oh, no worries, man.
Oh, we're good.
Can I say for me too? I'm also, because I happened to just look at the text and it said within 30 minutes. I was thinking 1 p.m. this afternoon because I saw, you know, and that's how I knew. So maybe we could put the times in there depending on where we are.
yeah,
My bad.
that'd be
We're
useful.
Yeah.
like all good things, little cobwebs here. We'll dust it off, but yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So I don't know if you're listening at all, Dens, but Rainmaker, I don't want to interrupt you. I didn't want to get Dens in there. To your point, though, if you wanted to finish up, I don't know if you.
No, go
I
ahead.
caught you midpoint there.
No, go ahead.
Oh yeah, we were just discussing, Dens, too, just about some of the hypocrisy regarding the race this week, particularly around the fact that, you know, the we races run motto hasn't been really in place at all this year, both literally and physically on the screens, and just kind of what that has meant essentially for F1 and what it might mean for the sport kind of going forward. So, did you have any takes at all, Dens, regarding
I can't
that?
say I'm surprised, really. Typical F1 as usual, and I think Lewis said it many years ago. Catch is king. So I can't really say I'm surprised or at all like I wouldn't say disappointed, but yeah, just I think it's what we come to expect with these guys that run the F1 races. For them, it's just a huge money making exercise. They want to fill their pockets. It's just a lot of corporate greed, and they're obviously going to put forward profits before people's lives. And unfortunately, that's what it's come down to, because people are right in making comparisons with the Russia scenario. Also, even just at the beginning of COVID, they weren't really taking it too seriously, and it was only until the drivers started speaking up on that they started to take some action. And then with the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, I can't really say I'm surprised with that either, because you have to bear in mind for these people that for a long time they've always wanted to extend Formula One out into the Middle East, despite the controversial like baggage I guess comes with that. And ultimately for them, it wouldn't surprise me, because for them it's about making as much money they can, about going to places where, you know, they can build the infrastructure and get different deals in with different placeholders. And it wouldn't surprise me yesterday if like I think it was Stefano Domenicali and Russ Braun went there to try and convince the teams that everything would be okay when it couldn't be anything far but I think it's to be expected with these people, and unfortunately until something happens, I don't think that anything will really change in that regard.
Yeah, we had mentioned, I don't know if you'd heard us before, and I'd be curious to hear your take. Will any drivers, I had mentioned, I don't know if someone's going to or not, but will any drivers essentially protest the race potentially? Because I was saying, I think if Vettel was there, I don't think he'd race. His moral
Even
compass
then,
is too too true to say the least.
Even then, you never know because it's a balancing act between the driver's individual needs and wants, and then the actual social elements of it. If Sebastian Vettel was in a championship winning Red Bull from 4 years ago, and this is opportunity to make a fifth title, I don't think that he would. I think that he'd put his own interests out of the sport, and this is how it's going to be for the drivers. It's going to be when it applies or when it suits them, and there's not many of them, considering how they've behaved over the last couple of weeks or months, that can say really stand for something. Seb, I would say, is one of the better ones. Lewis as well. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but Lewis received a letter from a 14-year-old on death row. And it's just crazy to even
Whoa.
think that those scenarios even exist in a place like Saudi Arabia. That 14-year-old could be on death row. I'm sure when many of us were 14, we didn't even know or have an idea about what life was really about or what it entailed. So, yeah, it makes you question why we're going to these places in the first place. But cash is king. I think that's the short answer for it, really.
What did he receive from a 14-year-old? Forgive me.
So, Wayne, it was a letter from a 14-year-old that's on death row in Saudi Arabia. And essentially, in that letter, the 14-year-old was expressing to Lewis his concerns, the appalling living conditions, just how socially Saudi Arabia is compared to other places in the West, and just asking, pleading for Lewis to maybe try and use his influence to see if he can get a pardon. But he's just one of maybe 80 people that get sent down every day in Saudi Arabia and punished, or go through what we'd call capital punishment, which has its own people that will have for and against points on it. But in most cases, I think 9 times out of 10, if you ask most reasonable people if a 14-year-old should be on death row, the resounding answer I'd like to think would be no. So it's crazy that the drivers are being exposed to this. And in a way, I think it's not good. But I think it's a big eye opener for them because unlike Lewis, a lot of them grew up in quite sheltered backgrounds. They're not really exposed to some of these things that happen. And yeah, if F1 was to actually proactively use its voice and its message to not campaign against, I would say, but to at least raise awareness and to proactively do something, then I think we'd respect them more. But for them, you could just see it's a money grab. It's a complete money grab exercise for them. So, you can't shame the shameless, can you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point. Good point.
I just want to say Chris Mellon, F1 journalist, has just tweeted saying that he says something important needs clarifying. Drivers and teams were not threatened that they might have difficulty leaving the country if they didn't race this weekend. We can take what we want out of that, but that could be state propaganda, it could be anything But I did see today that Sky Germany, most of their team has left the country. They only one of their journalists is staying back to reporting the race. The rest of the crew has left.
Yeah. Not shocking. Not shocking. I mean, it was unconfirmed, but I would find that pretty hard. But like I said, the hypocrisy, I think, is tough to stomach sometimes. And we love the sport. We're going to watch, but they should sit down at some point. Again, Vettel and Lewis were the only ones who thought that they should highlight these concerns that they have in places that have, and there's other places too, by the way, not just, mostly Middle Eastern, obviously, but Vettel and Hamilton were the only ones who highlighted the concerns in these places when they raced there. But yeah, I mean, you again, you expel Mazepin because of the Russian war. To me that didn't matter. I just didn't think he belonged in F1 to begin with. So, but
yeah, you got to imagine him and his dad are fuming right now, wherever they are.
but this other conflict has been going on for, what do you say, 7-8 years, Rory?
8 years.
Yeah, 8 years, and the world has turned a blind eye to it. And this is again, bringing them kicking and screaming to face it. The problem is when the race is over and God's willing, everybody leaves safely, we forget about it. we're going to move on too as fans.
Mhm.
But the suffering and the death and the destruction, it will continue, and the world will go back to turning a blind eye to it.
Mm. Yeah, that's a good
Yeah,
point.
I just want to say that, Dent, if you didn't know, today is the 8-year anniversary of the conflict in between Yemen and like these rebels and Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I mean, I was doing some research as well, and like you guys have already touched on, I'm assuming, there was like a Saudi invasion of Yemen, and then you've got these Houthi rebels which are retaliating, and like you guys have established, it seems like it's not a new conflict; it's something that's been bubbling for some years, which you'd think the F1 would take that into account as well and take more seriously. But again, it's just about the money for them. You know, they've probably taken the reassurances they have from the promoters. The promoters have said, "Oh no, it's fine. We don't want to basically lose out or have to cancel this event. Everything's fine." F1 as well have like a contract, I guess, to fulfill, and the chief executive, Stefano Domenicali, obviously doesn't want that to go wash. So yeah, until people put real pressure on them, and until like real questions are asked of them, and people are held to accountability, I don't think that we're going to see anything happen, unfortunately, unless something, a huge incident or accident happens, which we don't want to see, and it's really
Mhm.
sad. It's come to that, but yeah, it doesn't surprise me with these people at all, man. Like F1's moved a long way from where it was, but it still has this exclusive billionaire club mentality. And until that's stamped out, or until they see the light of day that these things are not okay, and
Mhm.
if you continue to pick money over people, you're gonna basically ostracize your fan base. Then they won't learn any lessons.
Yeah, I like this. Like Aston Martin are sponsored by Aramco, the oil refinery that was hit. They're saying that deal, like the sponsorship deal for this race, because it's like Aramco is splattered all over the track. Like it's worth between 500 and 800 million dollars for F1.
It's not
So
making Aston Martin any faster though.
Yeah, that's very true. Um, Not to switch subjects too much. Do you guys want to talk about the race? I had a little thing I was thinking we could do for us all. So, unless you guys have any final words regarding just the outside of the race this week.
Well, I'll say this, as Amden said, changes would need to be forced. It's the drivers. If the drivers are unified, because the drivers are the product,
Mm-hmm.
and without these guys, this dog does not hunt. So if you have a unified uh, uh, driving core, and the sponsors decide to step up and do something, that's where it starts. So I'd love to see when Vettel comes back. Obviously, this year nothing's going to change this year, but I think Sebastian is probably thinking about this, given where he has stood on social issues. If you can get these folks to be unified, you can see the kind of changes that F1 they will be forced to do something. So hopefully we see that.
Yeah, that's a great point. Almost establishing like a blueprint, and that's the crazier part too. Obviously, they went straight into the meeting yesterday, but not even canceling the Q&A session, not even giving the drivers a chance to speak. You would hope at least going forward that's something they'll allow the drivers to do.
yeah,
Just one. I'm going to move around a little bit to get to where my television is, so I can.
No worries. You
So
do what you got to do around the paddock there, Wayne.
there you go.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, even like some of the teams didn't like F1 account hasn't tweeted for about 14 hours now on social media or on any Instagram or wherever, TikTok. Only some of the teams, like in the last hours, have just posted. Like, I think the first driver to post something was Checo Perez, and I think even that tweet was something I say the team pushed. I say he probably didn't want to tweet it. Like, honestly, but I think, yeah, a lot of the teams are only tweeting now to try and like get like to say it's qualifying or that. But it's like I think like by silencing the drivers, the team principals, like even now, like when you saw the team principal conference, they were very they're only giving bits and pieces. Like they weren't like not even lit, not like only lit like like it wasn't much, and I think it's, if you silence that, it just tells the picture that they don't want to paint F1 in a bad light. They don't want controversy. They don't want anything like that. They wanted to sweep under the carpet. But I think F1 and FI and the Saudi government are thinking that will be in Stone Age, because they don't think social media exists. They don't think the Wi-Fi exists, anything like that. Like you can't censor things, because it will get out, like, unless it's fully, like North Korea, it's fully censored. Like, but besides that, I just think by censoring it, by silence the drivers, and not even saying, like, silencing in interviews, you can't even on your social media accounts say anything. Like, it just tells it all. Like, that's what I think anyway.
It's true, Ray. I agree with you there. And ultimately, yeah, like F1, it secured its bag in terms of like what it's getting from this whole, Middle Eastern campaign it's doing with Bahrain, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and obviously Abu Dhabi as well. But yeah, just the drivers need to be more uniform in their voices. But unfortunately, I think with this generation of drivers, they're not going to do that. I think that you got a lot of egotistical characters inside there that will put their own interests above the world's interests. And it's just like what Wayne said earlier, you're saying, RJ saying as well, that, unless they sing from the same hymn sheet, they won't be heard. And unfortunately, that's just the case. And yeah, it doesn't surprise me with these people at all, man. That's just the way that they run this machine and oil it. And it's just become more about the money, more about the power, more about the control, more about just like trying to just keep things under wrap, and just kind of polishing a turd and making it seem as like, nice and shiny by the time it gets to the end of the production line. So yeah, I wouldn't expect it from F1 and their PR team, man. And that's just the way that they're trying to move in this era. But at least here as the fans, we can have these great platforms to speak about them and to shine some proper light on a lot of the shadiness that's happening backstage as well. So I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I mean, in some ways, I think cash is king, as Lewis Hamilton does say, but you would hope with how progressive the world is getting in some ways with a lot of these issues that this will be a point for F1 to hopefully, get it right after the fact. And Denzi would come in a little bit late, but I was saying it'd be good for them just to essentially react. If F1 want to get it right, they should react after the fact, just because of previous issues with human error and everything like that. This isn't something that was human error. This is well thought about and, obviously a discussion, but as fans, regardless of money, I think we have hopefully some right to know, the justification just going forward. But
Definitely, I agree with you there, RJ. And I mean, it would. That's the thing. Like, they obviously don't want to do it now because they're already committed. They've got their contracts. You could understand maybe financially why they're being quite stubborn to really make any changes here. But that being said, you're right. There's no shame in like reflecting back and kind of saying, well, we got this wrong. We can change it in the future. But also that's like a reactive response. They also need to be proactive too, because if they're not proactive, they will put people's lives in danger. They'll put the team's lives, at risk. They'll put the drivers' lives at risk. And it's not something we particularly want to see. We've seen that there's been a few times where they've got things wrong and it's cost people. And it shouldn't be like that because, like F1 at the end of the day, as much as we love it, it's just a sport. The world would go on without it. So they need to try and adhere to the world rather than trying to make the world adhere to it.
Yep. It's a great way to put it. Not to move on there with anyone's last words, but I did have something I was thinking hopefully we could go around just with the race this weekend. I've been hearing it a little bit more on social media, calling it the PPP picks. So PPP meaning pole, podium, and proposition. So pole, who will end up on pole? Podium, who do you got going on a podium? And then prop is like a prop bet. So you could say something like George Russell won't be in the points, or for this race, one of them, there was a bet that was 14 and a half cars will finish the race. So essentially over and under. So we'll just start by going around. I'm going to ask Rory first here, the Red Bull man of the group. Who this weekend, outside of Q3 here, obviously in P3 practice session, who do you see predict on pole this weekend? Assuming the race goes forward, obviously, because there's still an unknown. But
it's. I'm going to have to back my Red Bull boys. I think it's going to be Verstappen. He looks like he's on the pace this weekend. Hoping that I get to the podium. I hope the car finishes the race this weekend again. But I'm going to go Verstappen pole. I'm going to say, okay, now this is depending if they finish. I am going to go Verstappen, Leclerc. And now this is where I was going to say Magnussen, but after his reliability issues, I'm not going to say that. So I think I'm going to go Hamilton. I think Mercedes will. Well, Hamilton or Perez, I think is my opinion, but I think I'm going to go Hamilton because I think that he's going to work wonders in that car if the race does go ahead. And now this is where. I'm not good with these kind of. I like to take hot takes, but I'm not.
We can go around too if you want to wait. I mean,
no, I'll make the decision. I think both Haas's will DNF.
Okay.
You're really trying to trigger the Americans there, Rory. It's going to be an American revolution soon.
Wow, there we go. All right, I like it. What about Rainmaker? Who do you got on pole this weekend? Obviously, we pending some results here, but
I'll go Leclerc. I'll go Sainz, and I'll go Hamilton. And I'm going someplace with this. I think Max is going to crash.
Turn one or no?
Wait, in qualifying or the race?
Both.
Oh, actually, yeah. I'm sorry. I screwed that up. I think Leclerc. I think Verstappen, and I think Sainz right now. But I think race-wise, Verstappen crashes out of the race.
Okay, I could see that happening as well. I'm not going to deny it. I think it will happen if he's going wheel to wheel with someone like you saw last year. Probably could happen. But yeah.
All right, Dens, how about you?
Okay, Paul, I'm gonna say Max Verstappen because you see, if the Flying Dutchman doesn't get pole, you see that, the greatest lap of all time. He was one corner away from making the best lap I've ever seen. Listen, if he doesn't get pole this time, I'm going to smoke him in the most galactical split.
Well, he doesn't have the excuse of saying now they've moved that wall back 12 meters now as well.
Bro, exactly. They moved that corner just for him. So, listen, there's no excuse now. So, I'm going to say Max pole. My top three. I actually think that Leclerc and Max are going to have some sort of crash, or there's going to be a safety car and one of the two teams will get unlucky with them. I think this is a race where if Sainz can keep his composure, he will do well. So I'm going to say Sainz for the win, first win of his career. Then I'm going to say Max if he can survive. And then who do I put in that third place there?
You have Perez, you have Hamilton, you have George.
Yeah. I haven't really been keeping an eye on George, so I don't know. I'm gonna put him out around the top 5 area.
Yeah.
Perez, I think he as well. I think he's gonna get unlucky with a safety car or something that's just gonna happen that's gonna screw his race. I'll go with a happy Hamilton in third place, and then from the third P that RJ was talking about, it's like a kind of, I guess, plane or stuff like that. I don't know. Yuki Tsunoda's not finished the race. He's doing well so far, but I could just see him having a howler trying to overtake somebody, like a really rash overtake, and he tries to take somebody out and spins them. So I'm saying Tsunoda to crash out.
Did his car crash yesterday, or was it a failure?
I think it was an
engine failure. Okay, that's what I thought.
Massive. Not a good day for Red Bull powertrains. Not a good few weeks.
Dude, they got to start. They got to start pumping straight Red Bull in their car if they expect to win, man. Straight up.
Speaking of which, did anybody see that funny like exchange on Twitter. One guy, he was saying,
I
another
saw
Honda
that,
issue,
yeah.
and then Honda India, like Honda have an India account just for their Indian customers, and then they were like, oh, what's the issue with your Honda? And then all F1 fans responding back to the Honda India account,
Fuel
and they're like,
pump.
oh, like Honda engine
Fuel
not
pump.
working.
Yeah,
Fuel
like,
pump issues, and then
and
like
then
the
this,
Indian like Honda team thought they were being serious and like, oh my god, okay, please send us a DM with your concerns and we'll get back to you. They were so committed. I love it.
Trolling at its
yeah,
finest.
yeah.
I'm gonna actually go with for pole. I'm going Carlos Sainz. Weirdly enough, I think Max. I think Max for some reason. I don't think he will crash. I think someone on the Red Bull will get retired. So my podium. And I don't mean to sound it bad. I think we get a lot of like, I'm not anti Red Bull at all. I just think Max is going to send it. And this circuit in general is people crash on this thing. And if you're going to that first corner, let's be honest, someone's going to get pushed off. There's going to be something that maybe not controversial, but some places getting taken back. So I'll go Carlos on pole just to change it up a little bit. I'll be optimistic and maybe say Max won't crash. So I guess I'll put him on the podium. I'll go him, Carlos. And I'll go Charles. I could see that being a decent trio. My prop bet would be I'm going to go. I don't like betting against Lewis Hamilton. You can't. But for some reason, I'm going to say, you know what? He doesn't get a podium here. And I'll say that is his form of silent protest. He'll say he backed off. He doesn't want to be on the podium. Or better yet, you know what would be interesting? My prop bet will be if Lewis Hamilton ends up on a podium, he doesn't stay on the podium. The drivers just walk away right away. No reason to celebrate. They're done. They want to leave and get out of there, which that could be an interesting form of protest if you think about it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
And then randomly though, I'm optimistic. I want to see Mick in the points. I think this could be the race. Mark it here. I'll take that. I'll take that bet. I don't know what the odds are. Not that we need to make this a gambling show, but I'm thinking that could be it.
I'll go off that slippery slope with you. I'd love to see Mick get some points.
Team America. And I want a live reaction on Drive to Survive Season 5 of Gunther when that happens. No longer looking like a bunch of wankers.
We're getting demonetized now. It's just going back.
Exactly.
No, I don't want to move from F1, but if anyone saw the F2 race, it was absolute. I just saw on Twitter there, there was one, the Dennis Hauger, the F3 champion from last year. So there's a situation basically where there was basically a safety car after a driver crashed. Then like how there's a safety car line, you're not allowed to overtake for a safety car line. Two cars crashed behind that on the restart. So there's two cars on the track, and you know like how in Saudi there's no service roads because it's a very tight circuit. They decided, the FIA of course, decided to put two cranes on the track, didn't even red flag it, and they basically got the safety car, and like Dennis Hauger basically said in the radio they haven't learned about Jules Blanky like this, and he basically told the race directors to F off on radio.
Who told them?
Dennis Hauger told the race directors who was leading the race at the time to F off to the race directors. So and then he got a 10-second time penalty.
What, for saying that?
Not for saying that, because it was an instant before that, but yeah, he basically wasn't really happy with the race directors. But yeah, there's images of basically the safety car going past, not even the red flag, the safety car just going past two cranes on the track, lifting cars and marshals. It was, I just saw it, I was absolutely shocked.
They don't learn, man. They don't learn. Like, we have a saying in the Caribbean, if you don't hear, you must feel. And with these people, I feel like they must feel because they don't ever listen. So that's crazy. We've had an incident on in the past with, utility vehicles, trucks, lorries, tractors, basically big, human artillery vehicles and F1 cars, and they still don't get that
Yeah.
it's extremely dangerous to run a race whilst those vehicles on the track. You know, there could be marshals as well picking up debris and stuff like that, and they still not followed the proper protocols and procedures. That's wild to me.
Yeah. The sport is, to me, it just looks like it's floundering around and lacks direction. I have no confidence in Soleim at this point. Since he's taken over, I don't know what it is. I just don't feel that he's competent. Um, just by some of the nonsense that you're seeing going on, the lack of decision, the poor decision, the floundering around. I don't know. Gene
I
Todd,
agree with
Can
you.
you?
I don't care. I don't
Yeah.
care about. By the way, Gene Todd talked about Vettel. Well, Lewis, but alluded to Vettel too in terms of saying that he wished that they wouldn't be so open, with their social concerns. Which it just tells you so much about these people.
They
Anyway,
I
live in
just
the
want to.
Stone Age, Wayne.
Yeah.
They just live in the Stone Age, and they just believe that like there's a hierarchy, and they see the drivers as below them. So they're just saying like basically, we don't want to hear from you. Don't say anything. We don't want you to give the sport a bad name or to put the sport in disrepute. What they don't realize, is they themselves are putting the sport in disrepute, and it's the drivers that are trying to correct and course correct them. So it's nuts. And then even with Mohammed Ben Sulayem as well, he's not making a good first impression for himself because
Yeah.
already in the 3 months that he's taken over from John Todd, it's just been a farce. It's just been a huge spectacle. There's been more drama off the track than there has been on the track, which tells you everything you need to know.
it's a joke. It's a joke. And you have this other jackass, Helmut Marko.
Mm.
I mean,
Oh, did you see the Sergio Perez comments?
Yeah.
like what planet?
What were those, by the way? I didn't hear those.
Oh,
wait.
you don't want to hear what he said, but we'll probably mention it. It's
Oh,
my
okay.
god.
Uh,
It's what he was talking.
If you
it's
see it on Twitter, give me a mention it, and I need to
Well,
hear this.
I'll
I
actually-
want
I'll
that
just-
heat, baby. It's cold. There's snow on the ground
yeah.
where I'm at right now.
I'll just say what he said. He basically said that Max is basically relaxed about it. Checo's scared because he said he's it's something like he lived in Mexico City and this is what it was like back then, and he said that's why Perez shouldn't be scared or something like that. It's
Because
something like that.
he's used to Perez is from Mexico where they're always blowing stuff up or some nonsense, so he's used to it. It was Trumpian.
Yeah, very. I second Wayne on that. It was very Trumpian. It's one of those this wild. You can tell that Helmut Marko, like, he used to probably fight in the war on the wrong side. He's just one of those guys where just like he's just got the wrong concept to what 21st century life is really about. Like, if somebody like Helmut Marko was supposed to run the whole world, I'd be very scared to see what that world would look like.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah,
Well,
Den's
yeah.
the line I use a lot sometimes at the office, and I say it a lot, is some people need reality checks that are too big to be cashed. And I think he's one of those people, straight up.
I just sent in the group chat there the picture of the two cranes on the track with the F1 cars with the safety car, which you can see if that was green flag, there would be an instant. Like if it wasn't under a safety car, or if someone had a mistake, like it's definitely
Unacceptable.
That's nuts.
Unacceptable. Like there's barely like space for one lane on the right hand side because the
Wait,
two
so
cranes are almost like parallel to each other.
Take me through the ruling, Rory. What was so that the cranes were out on the track and they just kept him out there?
Yeah. The directors decided to keep the cranes and stewards were lifting the cars because there's no service road. To lift onto they have to come back, but they decided to, instead of running flag the race, they said we're going to continue on and just keep the race going until they cleared. And that's a whole. If the driver has an issue or something and loses control, that's a whole. Like the halo's not going to. The halo might help, but it's not going to. You're still going to get an injury from it. That's why the halo was brought in because of the Jude Blanky incident. But I think if the halo would help you, but it's not going to
there's only
That's
so
what I think.
much it can do. Like,
Yeah.
it can only withstand a certain amount of force, and at the end of
Yeah.
the day, it's humans. They're not the humans are not designed to take certain impacts at certain
Yeah.
angles, and it's not even just a case of a car losing control and hitting one of those things. It's
Yeah.
also that you're lifting a car with a crane. You're literally
Mhm.
defying gravity.
Yeah.
If for whatever reason, like the harness for the vehicle was to break and the car was to plummet back onto the track, it could injure a marshal. A car could potentially be there. Like, it's so rogue how like they're doing these things, man. Like it's almost like caveman style officiating, where they just make up the rules as and when it pleases them, and that's wrong. They need to be more strict, and if it means that there's not going to be a race, so be it. If you're going to save somebody's life or prevent somebody from serious harm or injury, that's the mindset they need to focus on rather than the entertainment or monetary aspects of it. But again, it circles back to, funnily enough, everything we say, it circles back to one particular point.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see how that would react if the same thing, how are they going to get it right tomorrow if the same thing occurs?
I just want to say, Rainmaker, if you're, can you turn down your volume a bit because
Oh.
the video could get copyrighted if there is volume in it. So
My apologies, man. I didn't
it's
realize.
okay. It's okay. Like, it happens to all of us. Like, so it's fine. But I was just gonna say, the team principals are now talking about like in the sky and like that. And Gunther Steiner said, if a driver doesn't want to partake, we have Fittipaldi who can sit in for him.
Well, you have to what? Sorry, I didn't catch that last part.
So, like, if a driver doesn't want to race or just want to partake in the race, they said they would. They're happy with, like, they'd be okay with that, but they would have a reserve driver would step
Place
in.
him. Hmm.
And this is the thing with the teams, like they're just kind of selfish in the sense of,
Mhm.
if unless all of them quit, you wouldn't basically have one quit over the other because it gives the other a competitive advantage. At Haas, this is a big year for them. For now, they've got a car which, when it's working, can do something. So they're going to want to try and maximize their points and put their own kind of intentions and individual interests above everything else. I wouldn't expect them to do anything other. So yeah, just it goes to show you that people want to see what's right, but they're only willing to go so far to do that. They're not as selfless as Seb or as Lewis when it comes to these issues, which is part of the problem as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. Well, it will be interesting to see because I guess at this point, if the drivers weren't safe, who knows who might be qualifying coming up here soon then, right? Do we even know, out of curiosity, who is the Mercedes guys in the group? Who is the reserve driver right now for Mercedes if Hamilton or George Russell were to say, I don't want to participate?
It would probably be Nick De Vries or Stoffel Van Dorn.
Yeah,
But
stuff
again,
about Dorn. Yeah.
Yeah, De Vries is at the track this weekend, I think. So, yeah.
he's there and ready. Although, like, I'm sure Nick De Vries has done like winter testing for Mercedes and probably some private tests, but
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see if they have a seat for him and stuff like that as well. But
Yeah.
yeah, it would be that, or considering that Toto as well is quite open to, like, trying to do the right thing, and he always likes giving these kind of good stories, like the time he tried to give Roman a test in the Mercedes. It wouldn't surprise me as well if Oscar Piastri was somewhere in the pits and they were to give him a shot as well. So
Yeah.
you can never tell, but
Yeah.
I think, Latifi's is a paid driver, but I think Williams has sponsorship now. It wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility to see De Vries getting that seat in the next year or so, and follow in the footsteps of Russell in terms of how he comes up through the ranks. Piastri, isn't he a McLaren guy at this point? Isn't he linked to?
Alpine Academy driver, but again, similar to kind of what Mercedes would do, when McLaren have said if one of the two drivers was to be ill, they've agreed like a partnership with Alpine where they'll give Oscar a drive because like, I think a lot of people, what I've noticed as well, Wayne, is a lot of people feel almost bad. They feel like an injustice has happened to Oscar because he's done all the hard work. He's won F3, he's won F2, and there's still no seat for him in the sport. And that's where I would put pressure on Alpine, because either they should consider maybe having two teams like everyone else, Or, they've got Fernando Alonso there, and if he doesn't perform, I think, they should just move him on, because it's not to say that Alonso can't do it, but his whole purpose for returning back to the sport was to compete for a championship. And if he's not doing that at Alpine, or if Alpine are in that position to do that, then maybe that seat would be better off to a rookie that can at least cut their teeth and gain a bit more experience.
Yeah, that's the argument to make though for Alonso, because his whole reason for coming back was to compete for championships. Clearly, that's not going to happen. So yeah, I mean, step away and let the young kid, grow.
Yeah.
I just had a thought here. You're talking about two teams. We talk about the Red Bull A and the Red Bull B team. I'm convinced if Andretti comes in, that will be the Haas A team. We've just been looking at the Haas B team for so long. So I'm excited for that coming up.
Yeah, I think at the minute, if Ferrari, it used to be Alfa Romeo used to be their B team because they used to have Giovinazzi in it. They used to have, because he was a Ferrari driver. Now I think Haas, because their relationship was so close with Ferrari, I think because Schumacher's a Ferrari driver now, because I think that Haas is Ferrari's B team. Ferrari's reserve drivers, Antonio Giovinazzi, who's at the track. Red Bull is Liam Lawson, I think. Now, I'm not too sure, but he's at the track. He's racing F2. AlphaTauri is, I think, Yuri Vips, I think. I don't know. It's all their reserve drivers are basically in F2 at the minute. So they are at the track. They need them. Who else? I don't know who else reserve. Aston Martin is Nico Hulkenberg, who's in the car, of course. McLaren, Oscar Piastri, Stoffel Vandoorne, even Paul Di Resta can get into the seat if he wants to. And who else? So we have the Alpine, Oscar Piastri as well. Haas, Petro Fittipaldi. Alfa Romeo is Tio Porcher, I think. He's a development driver, I think, anyway. But is there any other teams I'm missing?
I think you said the more, man.
Yeah, they're all young drivers. There's no real only like Nico Hulkenberg, like that. That's the only like experienced driver I can think that would be in the reserve seat. But so far, looking at Twitter, that some cars are out on track, and yeah, it's nothing major, but it's definitely Ferrari's out on track, all like that. So.
Yeah,
and also to come back, sorry, Wayne. Just to come back to RJ's like B team thing as well. I don't know if you guys heard about this juicy bit of gossip, basically, that McLaren will look into maybe protest Haas, because they're saying that potentially Haas have had they're using their relationship with Ferrari, or in other words, Ferrari using their relationship with Haas to develop the car in the wind tunnel, so therefore they can basically test different philosophies and different concepts for cars using Haas's wind tunnel tie, which I thought was quite clever.
Because because the cost cap, because you know how Haas are a small team and Ferrari's a massive team, they basically, a lot of ex-Ferrari engineers went to Haas because they were able to free up, had space for them. And that's why Haas has a base in Maranello now, because all the Ferrari engineers have just gone to Haas to just set up shop there now. So yeah, it's I agree with McLaren in the sense that's a bit that, but I think they missed the trick with Alpine, if you get me, because Alpine wanted, and Renault at the time wanted a closer relationship with McLaren. And McLaren said we don't want that, and Alpine, but I know Alpine and McLaren saying we want to protest this when they could have had that themselves, if you get me, so.
I'm just gonna dip quite quickly, guys, but continue without.
Yes, at Sainz, I think put in a 1:31.1, and he pipped Leclerc by 0.4. Red Bull, I don't think they've put a lap in yet. But yeah, these cars are slower this year. Because they were in the 1:27s last year.
Yeah, I think in Bahrain they were when in Q3, I think they got they were some 3 seconds off the last lap, the last year's lap time or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they are definitely slower.
Yeah, we're gonna have our own session to talk about it further, but not to bounce around too much, Wayne. I got to ask your initial reaction because I cringe when I hear it. The Las Vegas Grand Prix. Man, I just need an initial reaction because it's hot off the press here. And I would be totally remiss not to ask another American fan, what the heck are you thinking about this thing?
If you've seen a movie, an F1 movie, that is what we will be reliving in Vegas. It is a show. It's exciting. I think it will draw a lot of celebrities,
Especially over Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah, it will be a show. Bikinis and shades and everything else
bikinis and martinis
that you see in a movie. It'll be a show. I think it's a good thing. I think it'll be exciting. I think it'll be a sold out event. I think F1 will at some point start to rival NASCAR stateside. And they're coming. They're coming. I'm excited about it.
Did I even see the rumored track layout, which was circling on Twitter? It like I saw Bryson talk about, and he wasn't happy with it. It looked absolute. It wasn't even a track. Like it was just a few straights in one corner. Like it was absolutely
a joke.
Yeah.
Well, the hard thing I think you have to remember, is in Las Vegas. This is a city that's relatively young compared to a lot of other cities that are on the grid right now, especially for a street circuit. But my hope is that that's a rough layout. They can throw chicanes because that's just a bunch of straightaways. But my argument for it all is I personally feel that there should be a, how would I say? I think we should get Miami right. We have one race in America. COTA and it's been a great standard. That's been a lot of great races. You had Lewis Hamilton winning a championship there a few years ago. We had Shaq on the podium last year, which was awesome as an American fan to see. For me, I just think we should get Miami right and then expand. I think personally, to make it a global sport, it should go to Africa first, but we could have our own podcast episode on that. But just the way I feel. So,
did anyone see in Miami? They're trying to make it literally like Monaco now. They're putting in a fake like yacht part where they're going to put yachts in, and it's definitely it's like a beach. Like they said, they're putting a beach in as well, like kind of a pool area, like as well. But
that's the misconception though too. It's at the Hard Rock Cafe. That's a 20-minute drive at least from the actual like downtown city of Miami. It's trying to make a spectacle in a parking lot. I hate to say it, but it's I get the idea behind it, but I'm not the biggest fan of it. So yeah, but. We can keep the conversation going here, obviously, if you guys want to on this, or we could go to Twitter Spaces if you guys want to watch P3 and talk about it as well. Completely up to you guys, but I don't know what your days are like.
What time is it? 10:17. Got some errands to run. Are we doing a space after quali, Rory? What's the plan?
I don't know, RJ. You doing a space for quali after quali?
I was thinking too, if you're okay with it, I would, and Wayne and I chatted briefly about it too, is just almost giving the handle out if you want to run it on that space. That might not be a bad idea.
Yeah. Okay. And I would wait a little bit till later in the afternoon. Here's why. Okay. You have a lot of folks who are going to pop up with their spaces, including Karun and all these folks. And I think let them get through that noise.
Yeah.
For a few hours and then maybe later, because you'll find folks looking for some place to go once the noise has died down.
So qualifying for me is 6 o'clock GMT, 1800 GMT for me. It ends at 1900 GMT if there's no delays. I would say I'd probably do mine in between half eight and 9 o'clock GMT, like in the evening, if that suits.
I don't even know what that means. Help me out here.
That's like 2100
They do military time there, Wayne.
Okay.
2100 GMT for me, like.
All right, I got that.
That's so. What's that? That be so? You're 5 hours or 4 hours behind me. So it's 2 o'clock here.
That'd be 9 o'clock there. That's 5 o'clock here.
5 p.m.
Yep, that's 5 there. Yep, or 5 for us, Wayne. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. That would work.
Or I could do it later. I don't mind.
Well, what time do you want to go, RJ?
What suits? Like, I don't want to be doing
My
space on my
schedule
own.
might depend. I mean, I could try to obviously do 5. If not, I would at least feel comfortable if you're okay with it, Rory. Give you the DRS zone handle if you want to go on there.
Well, yeah, let's do that. Let's just
Yeah.
combine it and do that.
Yep. Yeah, Wayne, speaking of which, I was chatting with Rory, and I think the DRS zone, I got to obviously get it going and get the send me your photo, by the way, in your bio.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, I think the point of it too is like with everything, I was in a space the other day in these NFTs and crypto and all this stuff, and I'm like, DRS as much as just F1 related, I think it should be stories of literally everything F1 still. So trying to get that vibe. So if there are any accounts that you guys follow, just send them to me or even DM them from the DRS zone. So at least we can get some interaction and kind of go from there. There was a guy who was from Saudi Arabia with a smaller YouTube channel. I was going to just talk about his experience and kind of go from there, but trying to make it more encompassing just to kind of get the mutual followers and other stuff like that. So
yeah.
But man, I'm watching this right now. I also bold take just to bounce around here. Oh man, I feel bad to say it, but this is gonna be a slow burn for Ricardo this year.
I've joined back on in some Ricardo slander. Love to see it.
It's not slander, it's love. It's tough love.
Tough love. Okay.
Man, he got schooled by Norris last year, and I wanted him to beat him this year, but man, I worry about Daniel Ricciardo.
Did anyone see the McLaren in the sunlight, like in the turn, like where the sun was coming over the wall? It made the McLaren look like the Ferrari. It was so red. It was just that orange does not go well in the sun, in the bright sunlight. But yeah.
Interesting. Quick question before we get off of that. Do we want to do these chats after races, after quali, or do we want to do Twitter spaces? What works better?
I kind of like the live stream before. I would rather do the after. After quali, I think you almost Twitter spaces
works better.
I think for some people it's almost one click, but I haven't done it. Dens, if you have, you can do these live on Twitter too. Stream them off Twitter, and I haven't done that before.
Yeah, I saw the option, but I didn't click it. So maybe try it. Maybe try it later today or maybe tomorrow for the race, and we'll see. Because I haven't seen a live video. I thought they got rid of that feature, but there is an option within Streamlabs to do it. So how it would do it, I'm not sure, but if we can do that, that'd be great, because most of our following, most of our community is on there, and it'd be lovely as well to get people in this chat too, because I think if they've got the link, they can join in too and have their say.
Yeah, you can I think you can add up to 10 people. You have 10 people in a call if you want. It's like space. It's like spaces. So
Twitter is better. I think as I think about it, Twitter Spaces might be better because folks can raise their hand and chime in.
Yeah,
I think we might have some limitations here, but I mean, technologically, I'm not that savvy.
Maybe we should mix it up. Maybe like Raymaker said there, we could have like Twitter Spaces more for just live reaction, and then these kind of more chilled out YouTube sessions just for the recap, or once we've had time to reflect, we can just go around like with each other and ask questions and stuff like that too.
I think like we should definitely still have our like race review podcast, like in a sense, for like audio listeners if they don't want, if we're not on Twitter, but yeah, like I think as well, like we can have like our our first reaction in a Twitter space, and then when we have all see what has happened like after the race or something like that, if there's any other news, we do in a race review podcast or something like that.
Yeah, I agree. The it's hard though. One thing I've gotten, the feedback I got from the podcast was, even on my mic, it's the worst audio when I'm holding it, and I don't know why that is the case. There's an audio imbalance from me to everyone else, which kind of stinks. So I guess the production quality as time goes on will go up. But if I'm recording just on my mic, the quality is exponentially better. So I got to try to figure out the bugs there.
Is this with your mic as well, RJ, or just like with me and Rory and Rain?
I think it's a mix of both. Like my mic will sound way louder, but the quality's not there. Your guys' mic sound like crystal clear to me, but the audio's a lot more silent. So,
Okay.
and if anyone knows any DJs or anything, we should get some intro music. We need something here.
I have a
Dun,
suggestion.
dun, dun.
I have a suggestion. Supermax.
Nah, bro. We don't play that song over here, bro. That music's copyrighted.
Is it?
Well, it should be, bro.
Actually, yeah. Like no, Let's Go Lando now. Like there's a song they did, but for Lando, and that's copyrighted
saw
on
that.
YouTube.
It was pretty funny. It's a little cringy, but hey,
Yeah.
it worked, I guess.
Yeah, but nah. I'll be honest. I Supermax got it was in my head for a while. I had it on my playlist, and then I got rid of it because it didn't suit my playlist. But yeah, it was so catchy. It just got in my head. I didn't know. I just know Supermax, and then then went off in Dutch. I didn't understand any word they were saying. So.
Could you imagine Rory's playlist? It's probably just some slow jams, a bit of Usher, a bit of Barry White there, and then boom, you just get Supermax in the middle.
No,
Yeah.
my playlist is 20 hours long.
Jeez.
Your playlist, man. Wow.
DJ
I
Rory
get
in
the
the
slow
house.
jams vibe though, Dens, with some Kanye West and Twista in there.
Oh man, that
Great
is
song.
a vibe.
Like on my this now I was going through a phase of meme songs, let's say this, and you know the song from Bag Raiders, Shooting Stars.
Oh yeah.
That's my latest play add to my playlist because I was just on a YouTube rabbit hole and I was just looking at meme songs.
Those memes are hilarious of that song.
Yeah, the shooting star meme, like where I think someone did with Toto, you know, like in the Ed Drives to Right trailer and Toto was on a tire. Someone edited that and just did did Toto going through stars, and at the end it was like, no, Michael, no. It was no, but yeah. I know, I think I think that's what Twitter Space is definitely like we can do after qualifying, definitely. We're saying then that RJ might give me the
if you guys want it, I think that's a good idea. And I was even saying, just to try to grow it a little bit more, is adding people that just have the F1 related experience or different crowds or different things like that too. So I feel comfortable giving you guys the handles because if anyone somehow goes rogue, I automatically have the I have the email set to a different email with way different passwords. So
I just go on and just start triggering all fan bases.
Yeah. Rory, he's too strong a tea this morning, man.
I just go on.
Well, RJ, you know who it is now. You know who the main prime suspect is if it ever happens.
Public enemy number one.
No, did you see that meme I put in the Discord? I put it was like Lewis and Leclerc, and it was like, how did you stay behind Max on the safety car restart? And Leclerc says, I pitted for new tires. If anyone gets the Abu Dhabi reference, there,
yes. I was a little slow, but I picked up on it.
Yeah, I didn't make it. I saw it on Twitter, so it was someone had the balls to do that. So let's say that. But no, honestly, I wouldn't want to trigger any fans on Twitter because I've had the experiences myself of triggering fans and. Yeah, but
there are folks who literally do that to get a reaction. But,
No, I'm not that. I don't like doing that. I wouldn't stand the hate. I would log off Twitter properly.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I meant to say too. Speaking of the metrics, just with the podcast. So since last episode, I don't know. Kenya is still here listening. We added Madagascar.
So Madagascar is this?
Madagascar. We also added Australia. And then stateside here, Wayne. Our most viewers come from the state of New York.
Crystal, one of them.
Yep.
Hey, shout out Crystal.
I'm kind of annoyed though, because when it says England viewers, it'll only say just England. It won't tell us where. But in Ireland, it'll tell us where they're coming from. Leinster and Munster.
That's a podcast?
Yeah, on the podcast. Yeah. It'll give me the demographics and where people are from. Most people are Spotify.
I mean, at 43 followers from the last. I mean, things are percolating.
Yeah, slow and steady racing there. I mean, I actually, one person I wanted to get on here to try to interview eventually for the DRS zone was I can't think of his name. You would know, Wayne, maybe off the top of your head, and I should be remiss because I don't know. He does like the on this day tweets. He works for Aston Martin.
Bishop.
Yeah,
Matt
Bishop. Yep.
I don't know if he will do interviews. I don't know because he's contracted to the team. Like, so, like, I don't know. Like, he's head of communications for them, so I don't know if they're allowed to do interviews. Like, no, actually, no, yeah, because if anyone knows Engine Mode on Twitter, who's former Red Bull, like, he said if he wanted to do an interview now, like, it'd be basically like if he said anything, it'd be saying like it'd be an official. Basically, the team would say it would be an official statement from the team. So that I don't think that would work because if anything comes out of his mouth, like the team would say it's on it or not associated with him. Like, if you get me, like, so.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh well. Well, there's a lot of people out there though. That's the great part about F1.
Yeah.
A lot of fandom.
Yeah. But they say going back to like the driver situation, they say that about 5 drivers indicated last night they no longer wanted to continue in Jeddah. At 1:30 a.m., the joint position of the drivers were there unanimous not to race anymore. Drivers subsequently convinced by team bosses, among others, to continue. That's from Lap Cars on Twitter.
That's interesting.
Actually, RJ, if you instead of giving me the thing, the handle, I always in my spaces, I always put the DRS zone in my title.
Yeah,
so
that works
like,
too.
And I always say like this is brought to you by the DRS zone. Like,
yeah,
so
I just think it's not a bad idea because Wayne and I obviously are being stateside, and we're, for the most part, I have to imagine working the same hours. It's probably just not a bad idea to give you guys the handle just so you can help. Like. Think about it. By the time we wake up here, it's already noon, 12 over there.
Yeah.
So we've already missed a lot. And you guys, it'd be nice just to cipher through so at least you get someone's take on it. And I think that's kind of cool too, where you don't know who's handling it. I know if there's going to be some memes or some Red Bull savagery, I don't even have to guess who it's going to be out of us four. But keep it civil, nothing too controversial.
Yeah, I know.
Never bad.
Yeah, I know. Like you kind of know after being on Twitter for a while what, especially on F1 Twitter, what not to post and what to post because everyone gets people get sensitive towards if it's a joke, it's Twitter basically. So people don't. Yeah.
When are you racing again, Dan? When are you racing again?
I'll go again there. Wayne, I didn't catch you.
No, I was asking when are you racing again?
It could either be later this evening or potentially next week. I'm just planning some content. I had some of the quick stop guys as well reach out to me for Hot Lap, doing a track tutorial of Jeddah, some of the corners, some overtaking parts as well. So yeah, I've been doing a bit of work in the background, but the lives will definitely be back because we need those.
More slander from me in the comments.
Don't you worry, Rory. Don't you just focus on McLaren, bro, because you're the next one that's gonna get smoked if they don't perform well this weekend.
Is that still on? I'm sorry.
Is what still on, sorry, Wayne?
The race between you two.
Oh no, we don't. I don't think we have cross-week compatible consoles, do we?
No, because Rory's on the Xbox and I'm on the PC. So one of us would have to either buy the other's console so we could play. I think it'd be more likely for us to see RJ and Rory since they both have Xboxes.
Yeah, and I do have F1 2021 now, so I'm okay.
Rory, I need your gamer tag. Let's play. I got a few friends who actually downloaded it too, and I joked around and said I need to buy a wheel and let's get a league going.
That'd be cool.
Where's my wheel actually?
I think that would be really cool though to see, like even if DRS zone, even if you found enough people and you just streamed it, just think about it. Before the race, you're not really doing much. You're just hanging out. How long does it take to do one of those? 30 minutes maybe?
Well,
you can have like a 5-lap race.
Yeah.
Dude, that would be sweet. Like an hour and a half before the race actually starts. Just hop on and let's race.
Open lobbies are carnage. No, but this is I have a pad, like a controller, but this is the wheel I won, but it's not. I don't have pedals for it, so it's it's just sitting around. Yeah.
Gotta
So,
invest in that sub, Rory. You gotta go buy that sim rig, bro, and just try again.
How much did your sim cost then, though?
Bro, like the steering wheel, the wheelbase, and the pedals all together in a bundle, they're like 450, 500. Then obviously as well, you've got the PC, then you've got the gaming chair. For me, it's just like a collection of different pieces mashed together and stuff like that. And you find that that's the case after a while.
Like I think that wheel, which I looked up the price, which I got for free in the competition, but it cost about €300.
Jesus, yeah.
No,
So
yeah, I think like 350 or something like that. It was like, I was just like thinking, why are they giving me this wheel for it?
it's nicer than my one though, man. I've got a more like simplified version. If I could pull it off the rig for a second.
Yeah, I've seen that one kind of before. It's like one. It's no, a lot of sim racers do use that one as well. Like
it's like the basic one, but yeah, it doesn't have as many buttons or as cool intricacies as your one does.
Yeah, and that's the Xbox like one as well. Like you can use for Xbox, but I've noticed that the F1 account is barely tweeting. It's only tweeting every like 15, 20 minutes. It's not posting. I think they know that they're going to get some amount. I'm surprised they don't put their comments on private because that's what Sky Sports did before. Like because the amount of comments they got. Like, but
bro, they're gonna be getting that Miami heat. Yeah, they're not doing a lot of things correctly, and you can expect the fans to hold them accountable for that. So it does not surprise me at all.
Yeah, Max Verstappen. It's Max Verstappen's leading the way at the minute.
Oh, in practice?
Yeah, he's in the 129s.
And then it's Leclerc, Gasly, Perez, Sainz.
Do you guys all have the F1 TV?
No, I have Sky Sports.
I've got Sky as well.
Is there like an app you can watch Sky on? You can like watch it on Sky Go or something like that, is it?
There is, yeah. You can download Sky Go and then watch it remotely.
Yeah, you just like connect it to your Sky Box or something like that, and it just you can watch Sky Sports on or something like that. I might do that actually too.
I want to give a random just take here. Does anyone else notice like these like random kind of side marshal volunteers? All of them need belts. I always see these like little heavier set guys just hiking up their pants. I'm like, Mike Crack's about to strike at any minute here.
Gasly's AlphaTauri broke down in the exiting the.
And now he's having to push it back.
Red Bull powertrains, no.
That's a poll I had actually asked on the DRS zone. That's like a great reoccurring thing I think for talking points for people. There's a lot of polls I'll put up. One of them was will Gasly finish in the top 10? I'm trying to figure out what was the rate. Yeah, I had where will Kevin Magnussen finish this weekend? And out of 34 votes, 91% had him finishing in the top 10.
Well, that was before. I think that was before practice, RJ.
That was before the practice.
when he broke down, I think everyone realized this was no. Gasly has reported saying on the radio it's a drive shaft issue. Red Bull powertrain. That's
Rory, man. You guys are paying a Honda tax, bro.
Yeah, I think Honda come back soon because I don't trust Red Bull powertrains at the minute.
That's the thing that must be frustrating for you guys, man, because the car is quick. It's not a slow car at all. You've got the straight line speed and everything. It's just the reliability issues which are creeping up now.
Like shock it hasn't. Well, it only happened to Max last week, but before that, like this weekend, like I think Perez has taken a new MGUK
already.
Verstappen hasn't, but if anyone has seen, like how the gearbox, how it used to be, the gearbox used to be one single component. Now they've split into four different areas of it, but you get 5 like components of that area for this season. So Perez and someone else are already on their second component of each, like. So yeah, there's something going on with Red Bull, and I'm surprised Max hasn't. It's just parental treatment. I think Max has the upgrades this week, and Perez doesn't. So yeah, Gasly at the minute is pushing his car like Norris.
It's broken. It's broken.
Oh man, I don't know if you guys. This is unrelated. You probably don't follow skiing too much at all or anything, but there's a video of this professional skier named Tanner Hall, and he was hitting just a ginormous ramp. And when you said it's broken, very cringy. I'll just send it. He breaks both of his ankles skiing, and he slides down a hill, and you see a camera zoom out from like hundreds of yards away, and he's just screaming, "Both of my ankles are broken. My ankles are broken." And just like so much just pure pain. And you like, no one's gonna get there for at least half an hour to get this guy. It's horrible. When you said that's exactly what mine went to.
Yeah, that always just comes off the haunt land though. It's just like everyone just like everyone jokes about it with him, like, but it's
Rainmaker, by the way, you had tweeted from the DRS zone regarding the Pirelli tire strategy for this weekend. We thinking they're gonna run with softs, or do we even know? Like last year compared to this year, it was a two stopper, right?
Yeah, but my larger point is it doesn't matter now because last year, in quali 2, your fastest lap you'd have to start on those tires, and then they would run reds in 3 so they can get pole position. It does matter now. So like in Bahrain, you saw them run a lot of reds throughout, simply because they were just trying to dial in lap times, if you ask me. So my point is, why do Pirelli should just stop posting? Just tell us what tires are available to them, and move on, because it doesn't matter anymore. Or tell us how many new ones they have, how many new softs, mediums, or hards they have.
Before this practice session, the one going on now, Mercedes only had 5 new sets of the softs because they run more and most of their softs in FP1 and FP2 compared to everyone else with 6 new softs. But both Red Bulls only had one pair of hards left. So I think they're saving those for the race, but they have 2 sets of new mediums as well. So they probably have 1 set by the end of this session. So, but there's an update on that steward, that marshal, who said those things about Lewis. So they're saying that the marshals, so someone DM'd the FI on Twitter, and they said they were looking into it. And the marshals Twitter page, I don't know if that's the overall Twitter page for Saudi marshals or something, that said the marshal has left his position or has been fired. So
what happened here? What was this thing about Marshall?
Marshall basically said, what was the exact line, Wayne?
He said that he hopes that Lewis gets in an accident like Grosjean did with the fire.
And this lad's a fire marshal as well.
Yeah, and I couldn't. They screenshotted his Twitter page. There was some other stuff about my Arabic, if that's what it's called, is rusty.
It's come out now saying that Ben Hunt from The Sun has said F1 marshal quits Saudi GP over sick to be hoping Hamilton suffers crash.
Yes,
people like that need to be just like, and that's the next thing as well with marshalling. Like, I get that it's I think mainly free for most people to do because it's volunteering, but they need to vet people a lot more, man, because at the end of the day, these people play integral role. It's the way that the sport's run, and you can't have people that are like too biased, or people that like have an agenda against certain drivers as well, because that's really terrible. And for him to publicly say that as well, it would suggest to me that you thought that was okay and that you'd get away with it, which is even more bizarre and crazy to see.
And as well, that guy is a Max. On his Twitter, he had a profile picture of Max Verstappen, so you can take what you want from it. So, yeah.
So I think again, we are allowed to be fans of the folks that we root for, and be critical too. I don't know that it wouldn't be all right for him to say he doesn't think Lewis is a great driver or Max is a better driver than Lewis, that sort of stuff. But to wish harm on somebody and having the ability, as far-fetched as it sounds, to be able to impact that person, no. I think I'm glad they reacted. He should be removed. we implicit bias is real.
Mhm.
We show up and we think a certain way, and it might be okay to have those conversations at our kitchen table because we can do those things.
Yeah,
But yeah, he just cannot go out there. Any driver, wish harm to any
yeah,
driver on track.
yeah.
Yeah.
Bottas has gone P2 at the minute.
Oh, Rory, do you not have a commercial break? I've got a commercial break, man.
No, it was just on Twitter, like,
Oh,
so someone
smart.
just put it up, like, so like how F1 with Sky does commercial break and then
Mhm.
it's like following a lap and then just cuts, like,
Yeah,
just
so rudely. Like
it
I was
just
watching that, and it just cuts away straight away.
yeah, it just did that to Perez on Friday. Like, it was just like I really wanted to see how Perez would do, and it's just like as he was just going to the line, they just cut away. Like, it was just like.
I was watching that.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
Lewis aborted the lap because he got squirrely
uh,
um,
yeah,
on one of his laps. So I think it looks like he aborted it. Um, it, it that Red Bull looks quick.
hmm
And
it's just reliability at the minute.
yeah, that Red Bull looks super quick. And I thought yesterday, and I didn't go back and look last night, but somewhere about free practice 2, I believe, Max did 2 purple sectors and just pulled out of it. I
Yeah.
think, Rory, you were saying something may have happened on track.
Yeah, I think there was a safety car who was doing 2 proper sectors, and then like I think Kevin Magnussen stopped on the track or something like that. So I think that's why.
Yeah,
So Red Bull got their like they didn't get the gaps they wanted yesterday. So like we didn't really see Max Verstappen on the soft tire in FP2 like at the end because they didn't have. I don't know what their run plan was, or they didn't get the space they wanted. Like because I think yesterday like. Mercedes got Hampton loads of room. Like he had like no room, no cars for about 7 or 8 corners. Like, and he got his lap in, and that's like that. So that's the difference in gaps. Like so.
yeah. That tells me though that Red Bull is probably has some speed left in it that we haven't seen yet.
Mhm.
Because he was on a real blinder before he had to pull out. So there's time left in there. 128.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. I think as well it was weird that like everyone's saying because he went out on the hards for his first run in FP1, and people were I think were speculating that it was probably to test out on low fuel on the hards to see if the fuel pump issue, like the fuel system issue, was working or was there or not. So like they want to do like a long run on that to see was there any issues with at low fuel? Was there any issues like so? I think that's why he went out on hards that early because they usually wouldn't do that. They probably would go on mediums or something like that. So yeah. I don't know the time for Bottas yet because F1 hasn't posted it or no one else has posted it. But
Valtteri.
2 temps off.
Jeez.
the Alpha's fast. Like Bottas and Joe didn't. I underestimated Joe especially in that Alpha. Like, but Bottas is it's like he hasn't left Mercedes. Like, or
What a
he's
shakeup though. It's insane to me in F1 though. Like this is a team that was, barely not even scratching the surface in the points. I feel bad for Kimi Räikkönen. Give it one more year, he could have been back to glory a little
no.
bit.
I know. I think Kimi was done with that team. Like, I think he was
Oh,
done
I
with
think he
F1
was.
anyway.
Yeah. It's
Like
got to be
he
a little
was.
demoralizing.
Yeah, like he even put in his predictions at the end of the season, like from the start of the season, that he said he would retire. So he knew himself that he was retiring. Like, so I think it was better to bring Joe in or so. Do you think?
Ooh,
Say if
Gordon
Joe
Ramsay's here.
Gordon Ramsay.
Sorry, Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, if Joe has a good season this year, say he scores a few points and he's up in like around the top 10 or he's in the middle of the pack, like. Do you think Alpha will keep him or replace him with Theo Pourchaire, or do you think he's here to stay for a bit?
I think he's there to stay, man, because obviously, one, if he performs well, then that's what everybody will be looking for. And two, obviously, I don't want to go down the pay driver thing with him because I think that he's proven that he's worth every penny. But having said that, he's gonna help help Alfa Romeo even with their financial backing as well, all the Ferrari powered teams. So like he's done well, and as long as he keeps his head down, he doesn't like go on a bit of a rampage like Snowden did last season. I think
Yeah.
he'll be good as gold.
I think the team that will have the team most likely to lose drivers, if we're talking about it, Williams. I could see both those drivers out of there. Albon, if this redemption tour is not done. Latifi,
No,
obviously it's
Latifi's gone
Formula One.
definitely.
They're all good drivers, but like, man, your time's got to be called, dude. You haven't done jack squat in that car. I hate to break it to you, bro.
Yeah, I know. I've been my admiration for Latifi. It's
If he can get a
it's like-
podium, he's probably got a seat for another year. So
No, I definitely know. I think realistically, he has. If Williams want to be serious, he has to go. Like I know his father gives Williams a lot of money. Like, but his father does have a stake in McLaren, I think, as well.
yeah, like 6%, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, so Latifi and McLaren maybe, but no, but I definitely think Latifi needs to go because last weekend he was a second off his teammate. That was Mazepin levels to Schumacher last year. And now even he's 6/10 off Albon at the minute. That Gordon Ramsay saw he's in the Red Bull garage, so he's with Red Bull. So he's probably going to go in and if something doesn't go right, he's going to probably go in and do his Hell Kitchen performance.
He probably filmed an episode. He probably made Verstappen some good breakfast.
Yeah. Anything else? Yeah. Okay, this is so for Sonoda, this is all his new engine parts he has from yesterday. He's a new ICE internal combustion engine, a turbo, MGUH, MGUK. Is that it? Let me see. Kevin Magnussen has a new control electronics, and Yuki Tsunoda a new exhaust system. So yeah, it's a lot of reliability at the minute.
Bro, it's a whole new car.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah. Did anyone see that? Oh, I saw. I don't know if I shared it, but it was the picture of Hamilton's purple helmet and the sector times were all purple, and then his yellow helmet, it was all yellow sector times. Well, yeah.
Interesting.
I don't think that's good.
Yeah. You know what was interesting to me yesterday, actually watching, was the line fast and fragile, where you had Kevin Magnussen with the Haas barely hit a curb and then has issues with it. This circuit is fast. That's why I was going with the under on 14.5 cars. That'd be the worst part, though. Could you imagine running a race and you barely just hit a curb and car's donezo?
Well, Rhett, I think you've literally caught it, bro, because Verstappen's yeeted a curb.
Look at that.
He may have damaged the car.
Yeah, I think he has. Wayne, I think he has yeeted that curb.
And
it's
Rory goes back into his cave.
Yeah, I am. Cancel that space tonight. If I'm just.
I am a Red Bull fan.
Oh, and Latifi said the wall as well. It's even more pain for Rory.
Latifi.
Bro, jump, you ready to sell the house? Then you ready to...
Yeah, I think I might burn the house on purpose.
That's Nick DeVries' seat. I just keep thinking that's where he's gonna end up.
Yeah, he's even Nick DeVries, he was worked. He won the F2, went to Formula E, became the actual first Dutch championship in motorsport. Champion in motorsport before Max Verstappen, and then he doesn't. He needs a seat. I think he deserves F1. He's done bits in F2. Yeah, I think even Stoffel Doran got the boot out too quickly as well. I think I do rate Stoffel as a driver, and I think he deserves a shot. I don't know if it's the top team, but I do think he deserves another shot.
Yeah.
Within a tenth of Verstappen's lap there.
Did he? What happened? Is he still moving, or is he in the back of the garage?
Verstappen's back in the garage. Looks like the car's okay though, because they're taking off some tire blankets there.
Okay.
And Perez just set a lap within 1/10 of Max's fastest time. So Red Bulls look quite close.
I think that's the closest he's ever been in a practice session, except for the US Grand Prix qualifying, I think, where he nearly got pole at US, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and towards the like North American, South America, Jesus, that Rebel was flying.
Oh,
Rebel
yeah.
gives you wings. My days. You guys are gonna see the replay. The car literally goes up on 2 wheels.
Just like, yeah,
Yeah.
Verstappen. So, yeah.
Yeah, he
Leclerc
got it.
fastest purple sector.
Man, he's going off. Jeez.
He got
Okay.
it.
Also, this is annoying. I'm like 5 or 6 seconds behind you, even in America on ESPN. In dude, listen. You know what? You know what's nuts though is someone brought up the point is if don't get me started on the Vegas race again, but if it happens and it's a night race, that'll technically mean people in over across the seas like you guys will have to watch it
Watching
on Monday morning. Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah, Monday morning. Yeah. It's going to be like something like 4 a.m. for us or something like that. I think that's what it's going to be. I think, and then all the like Australian fans are just thinking, yes, this is our time. We get 2
Yeah.
races a season now that don't have to get up. But, no, but Australians deserve better as well. And anyone who would. Yeah, let's see. Oh yeah, I see what you mean. Then so he's literally flying. He's like,
Bro, the
it's
car's
like,
literally on 2 wheels.
oh yeah, I see the front. I see like he's literally going like that. It's just it reminds me of what was that? What was that time back? It was something. It was like when the cars were much lighter in F1. They actually like a car actually picked up and like flew a bit and then slammed down. I remember, or it could be in Le Mans or something like that. I think it happened to
I
Mark
think
Webber.
Mark
Or something.
Webber. Mark
Yeah,
Webber
it's
had
Mark.
like a thing in a Mercedes sports car back
Yeah,
in like the 90s where the car basically did like a triple flip in the air because the car
yeah,
was so like aerodynamically unstable.
yeah.
Can you live? Do you know, Dens? Can you live change the name of the live stream?
Bro, I think it might be in the settings.
Okay, I gotta try. I want to change this to if I can now to make it a pre-qualifying discussion.
Or if you can't do it within StreamYards, go onto the YouTube channel, go
Yep.
into my content, and then it will show you all the videos live and static.
Yeah,
And
you
if you
can
go on
change.
you could change it from there basically.
Yeah, you
So
can
you got
change
2
it.
options.
Yeah. I think in
Okay,
YouTube you
hang
can
on.
definitely do that because I've seen streams change like the title change during the stream like yeah.
Oh, edit video. That might be it. There we go. Saudi Arabian GP.
The Mercs they're definitely working on something. They're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
They did
working
a close up of like Lewis's helmet, and you could see that he's like focusing or studying something in his mind
Yeah,
as he's going through the corners on the IMLAP.
they're working on something. I don't think they're interested in.
Lap time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they could sacrifice lap time, like qualifying pace for race pace, like to maximize their full, like still like have the pace for the car, like to get up like near the top 5, but have the pace for the race, like if they think that's what they have, like.
Science looks
So,
like he's on a banger. He looks like he's on a banger. Purple first sector, half a tenth within Verstappen second sector.
Yeah, Verstappen been finding mad time in that second sector, like it's because he's like going literally like it's so cool. Did I even watch F2 qualifying on Friday?
I didn't.
Oh, oh my god! It's like so. It was Armstrong and pole, like, and like there was a number of safe red flags and like that. But anyway, he last 5 minutes. Armstrong was on pole. Do you know what Japanese wasabi? I think the guy who made up 22 places in the Bahrain Grand Prix. He was second, and then Drugovic went out, and he set the fastest. Like he went 5/10 quicker than Armstrong in the first sector. And he pulled this amazing lap. It was like a Verstappen-esque lap, like, and like Armstrong was there, just like, oh my god, why did not go out? And then his teammate, then someone else went fastest and overtook Armstrong. And then Armstrong was like, by the end of it, was down to P5. Like, it was just F2 qualifying. Just went. It was crazy.
Well, that's the thing as well, man. It's like track evolution. You want to be the last person on the track because that's when the track's going to be the grippiest. So. Yeah, you can't get too complacent, man. And a lot of people are learning quite a few things. Like I think even for F3, they mentioned the compound of tire for the F3 guys on the rear is a lot more like reactive. So it
Yeah.
basically means that at the beginning of the race to have lots of grip, and then towards the end they're like deliberately designed to go off. So it's going to test the F3 drivers like skills when it comes to managing oversteer, overheating tires and stuff like that, which is good for the future of them. So
yeah, well, it's like these tires, Ferrari's tires. Like if you saw like in free practice 2, Latifi said like he was on mediums and only lasted 14 laps like before the rears went. Well, that could be just the Williams just working through their tires, like. But yeah,
true.
My day is changing a little bit here, so I'll probably get on the space, but much later than 5 from what I'm looking at here.
Okay, that's fine. It's okay. Usually the regulars join anyway. We get a few people, new people in as well, so it's okay. Like it's fine. Like it's just like life comes first before everyone, so
it does change for me a little. Nature of my job, it can change pretty quickly.
What's wrong with that?
Let's see. We got Verstappen at the top of the sheets.
Leclerc 3 temps up in the first sector. He's on that banger.
Is that the last lap of practice, or?
Yeah, 12 seconds to go on the clock. 3 temps up in the first sector. Jeez, man, they turned it up at Ferrari.
Wow.
Yeah, I think is it like Mercedes drivers are 11th and 14th at the minute.
Yeah.
And then the customer teams are 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20th.
Ooh, Leclerc again with a purple sector. That's personal best.
You mean that they're Merc engines?
Yeah, they're all in the bottom half of the table.
Yeah.
Well, they could be running low modes, like that's what they usually do. Like, but it's usually that I find on a Friday that usually McLaren always, like last year, they always turn their engine up a bit, and then they put it back down like that. But yeah, I don't think it's an issue with the power unit.
Dang, Charles is flying.
Charles just said the fastest lap. You're gonna laugh at this, Rory. It's 0.33 of a second faster than Verstappen. Get it, 33.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, that's it's just like he's telling Verstappen. This is like
it's maddening, is it, RJ? This guy's like 6 seconds ahead of us.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, just silence, please. I gotta watch this. Damn it.
So like you see people watch on the live stream, like, and you think, well, I think they have to be a few seconds behind because it can't be up to date because of copyright issues or something like that. I don't know how it works, but yeah, I think it's because you're like, if I saw someone like Netflix want to start, or Amazon, if they want to start streaming F1, it's gonna be like that as well, like compared to live TV. Like live TV is there, like, but yeah, streaming is ESPN a streaming service.
Yeah, I look up and I say, where is he getting that from?
I'm in the future. I mean, then in the future. It's just like
that's cool.
Oh, man.
But Ferrari is they're on a mission.
The car's porpoising though. They're showing you science right now, and the car's kind of going up and down, but it's got pace.
I think the Merc is the worst of it. Yesterday it was so bad for them, and I think they had made some. They're working on something because they're not worried about speed at this point.
Yeah,
they're trying different setup changes, and they said as much yesterday.
I think the Red Bull, they said like when he went over a curve, it like bumped for 3 times and then just stopped. It's one of the best at like not porpoising, but it has a little bit of porpoising, but it's not. It's on the limit. It's not affecting the drivers. But yeah.
All the practice starts now. Super Max, or Mad Max, I like to call him. He's doing some tire burnouts in the pit straight.
Rory, did you see that GIF I said with Max coming into turn 1 with the Cruella de Vil with the rage eyes?
Yeah, I did. Then you must be happy. Johnny Herbert is back.
Yeah, I'm really happy, man. Like, again, like, great commentator, great pundit. He just says it as it is, which I really appreciate with him.
Yeah, he says what it is. Yeah, and he did say he wanted Mercedes were going to win this weekend, and he could be right. I think like he gives his honest opinion. I don't think he's not like Paul Di Resta, who goes off and is the Max fanboy. But let's say that. Yeah, this is what Crofty just said. I think Ferrari are 3.5 tenths down on Red Bull. It's just like, what the fuck? Crofty. Wait, is
He's the
Crofty?
worst, bro. He always gets things wrong.
Yeah, I love like when he like it was like he always gets the team mixed up. Like when he said like he just like he's it's full of mistakes, but it's just comical at times. But yeah, do you think Martin Brundle's good? I like Martin Brundle as a commentator. Sometimes his punditry, sometimes it could be questionable, but I do like his his insights, if you get me.
I
He's
agree.
really
I just think him before the race can get a little cringy sometimes. It's like just trying to interview other people really quick. It's like it's very much a spur of the moment. Like, who did they interview last week before the race?
Guy
What
Ritchie.
celebrity? Yeah, and they're like, "Who do you got your money on?" He's like, McLaren." I'm like, dude, you don't watch it. Like, this is just cringy, man. Like,
if he said Williams, I would be absolutely like, and he was standing beside a Red Bull, so I was just thinking like,
oh man,
The whole Christian Horner thing when he said that you weren't fast enough was like my all-time favorite.
yeah. You weren't like you think it's Shane, you think in F1 or something like that, and they just
Yeah, he was interviewing him, and I don't know what happened. He said Horner said something like,
Horner said like, "Shame you didn't race around here" or something like that, and yeah, and Bernie Ecclestone was just right beside him, looking like, "What do I say?" Like he was just like he didn't know what to say. But,
yeah, Bruno was like, "Shame you weren't quick enough to race with them." Like,
yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
who remembers the Meg Thee Stallion interview with Martin Brundle? And,
That was-
you know,
awkward.
I mean, I had an issue with that a little bit because I think she should have stopped and talked to because it's a premiere show and there's celebrities on the grid. I think they should understand what they're getting into. She doesn't have to know anything about F1, so to speak. And Serena Williams practically did the same thing too, by the way.
Mm.
I think you stop and you acknowledge,
like you're
the
talking
show.
to F1 royalty, like, and like if you know the scene, like you're on one of the biggest platforms of coverage of F1, you're
Exactly.
going like that, and like I think it was more, I don't know, she should have talked, but it was more her bodyguard and assistant saying
All of that, yeah.
and like I think F1 should brief celebrities and say when you're on the grid you have to talk because you're promoting F1, you're here by sponsors, you should be promoting. Like it has to be like that. Like I think it's simple. Like I think they brought in new rules now that if you're on the grid you have to talk now or something like that.
Yeah, I think it showed them up. I think it didn't show them in a like snotty, like it didn't come across in a good light. And even if you don't know anything about F1, you just stop and say, I'm excited to be here and to learn more about, but to handle it the way they did, to me, didn't seem right at all. So yeah, I had an issue with it.
Yeah.
craziness.
Yeah, Nicholas Latifi was 2 seconds off the pace.
Yeah,
Off Leclerc. He was, what was he? He was 1.5 seconds off his teammate. Or no, off Lando Norris. Alex Albon was in 17th and he was, what's that, 2.2. I don't know what, I can't, the timings are all over the place. But anyway, he's about a second off his teammate. Over a second, so. But,
Let's go, Lando.
where's Ricardo? Ricardo ahead of Norris.
Danny Rick. By the way, did you Mercedes fans see, or Denz, did you see that PacSun came out with a line of Mercedes joggers and sweatsuits?
Oh yeah. So that as well.
It looked pretty sweet.
Yeah, there's an outlet store like near me, like, and like it's on discount, but they have like in the Puma store, like they have all like a Mercedes kit, like not Tommy Hilfiger, but their old kit. So like they have all like the like Mercedes, like the general, not the teamwear, but like their loungewear and like that. They have all like the BMW Motorsport. They have Mercedes, like Mercedes joggers, Mercedes like that. Like, so, yeah.
That's great.
I was like saying, like, am I going to buy this? But do I want to be am I being am I being traitorous to Red Bull if I wear this?
Bro, join the dark side, man. You know you want to.
No. The Red Bull is the dark side. The Mercedes is the light side.
Yeah, well, there you go, man.
It's my words. quote me on that. Just like
What I like as well, just on a random fact, is this how
Yeah.
the driver's visors, at least during the daytime, they're clear, so you can see the
Yeah.
driver's eyes is like they're
yeah. Did you see
perfectly
Perez's
focused.
eyes yesterday? Like I was just like you could just see Perez focusing on the corner. It was just
Man, you should see in Science. Science looks like his eyes are on Stokes, or like he was high on like drugs or something. His eyes are just big, and he's staring into the corners.
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Anything else? Yeah. So this is the marshal released released a statement. He said he translated it's in Arabic. So I offer my apologies to the Saudi Motorsports and Motorcycle Federation and for the driver Lewis Hamilton on my previous tweet. I announced my withdrawal from the circuit. So yeah.
It's good that he apologized, but I'd just like to know why he thought that was acceptable, because it's not.
Yeah. Again, we can debate drivers and styles, and we think Max is a dangerous driver. All of that is fair game. You don't wish harm. I mean, you're not wishing he crashes into a wall or.
Yeah.
I mean, that's. Yeah, there's no place for that. I don't think that would be acceptable.
Yeah, because you're a marshal and you're there for the safety of the drivers. Like you shouldn't be in the sport if you're saying that, or any person in general. Like, but yeah, Bottas P5, the Alfa Romeo showing good.
Back.
What are you, cold?
A little bit. My apartment's cold. My girlfriend wants me to go to the gym too, so I'm like, yeah, I don't know. It's snowing here, Wayne. We got snow on the ground in Michigan.
Well,
I know you're joking.
I'm not joking. Dead serious.
Holy shit.
Well, over here in Ireland, it is.
Am I allowed to say that?
We're already demonetized.
It's kind of a
already,
child
so.
show, but I don't think anyone's. We're all right. But
yeah, like over here, it's hotter than Spain at the minute. So
it's nuts. It's like, let's see. I think it's 30 degrees here right now.
Speaking, I was out there because, I mean, in my old role with my company, I lived on a plane and out of a suitcase for like 4+ years.
Mm-hmm.
I flew like 3 times a week, and I came out to Michigan. We were opening up a building out there, and I stayed at a Marriott with a golf course attached to it. I can't remember.
Is that your background? Is it from your background there?
Well, not this one. This was last year. But no, I was out there for like 2 weeks, and I stayed at a Marriott, and every evening after work, I was out there footsing around. Not that it's relevant to this, but
Great.
Yeah.
No, it gets cold here sometimes, but
no.
we make do with it. It's not the greatest state to live in all the time, but we make do.
Make it work.
Yeah, they're saying apparently Ferrari was using high fuel loads and low engine modes on that run.
Oh,
the fastest time. So
who was saying that?
I don't know. It was rumors, but I'm trying to pinpoint who was saying that. I'm trying to get it out, like who actually is saying it. But like it's on Twitter now, so it's a bit iffy. So I don't know. It could be false, could be wrong, but yeah, I just saw it pop on my timeline, but I don't think it's not from a journalist. What I'm seeing anyway, but it's someone's trying to say it. But let me see.
Nah, that's hard to believe.
Yeah, so people just put out comments just to get interactions, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just saw, do you know that meme like of from Captain Phillips, like where it's like the pirates and Captain Phillips saying
I'm the captain now.
Yeah, okay, it's like someone's changed it. So Captain Phillips is Honda and the pirate is Mercedes, and it's like, look at me, I am the GP2 engine now. It's just like no, we all know that's like they probably have the engines low down. Like we don't know what the engine modes are, but yeah, it's yeah.
They're working on. They are not they're working on something, and they said as much yesterday. I think Shovlin came out and said something to the effect that the porpoising was an issue for them, and they did not. They were trying different things, and
Yeah.
they didn't find a resolution. So it's and I think they're still doing it as we speak, because unless they get that sorted out,
Mhm.
this dog won't hunt. And funny, I kept saying that all the time, even during testing, and Merc fans just like, you must be the Antichrist. I think, I believe they'll figure this out, but it might not be an easy fix.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We'll see. It'll definitely take a few races, especially if you consider Aston Martin. Like after last race, they got to just essentially be trying to adjust as much as they can or detail the car just to figure out and hopefully get in the points future races. They're definitely nowhere close to finishing in the top 10, in my opinion.
Do you think after, like, say, Seb being out for this long or so, do you think it's either going to motivate him even more to be in F1, or it's going to remind him of how, like, he's missing his family, or does he actually miss F1 being out for this long? Like, so, like, I think, and as well, if Aston don't have a competitive car, I think he's gone at the end of the season anyway. So,
Yeah.
It's different though with him. He's not, even if he had a horrible season, I don't think he's gone because it's not showing like it as a driver. It's just this team. I got to move on with my life and my career. So he's someone though that I think is an F1 fan, whether you like him or not. You'd hope to see him in there. But when daddy's son is holding up one seat, that team is
This is my Lights Out on Twitter. They have put the sector times up, who was slowest and fastest in all the sectors and over a lap. So Ferrari was fastest sector 1, Red Bull was fastest in sector 2 and 3. Overall, the ideal lap was Red Bull. And then bottom half was sector 1, Aston Martin, sector 2, Williams, sector 3, McLaren, and overall Williams.
Interessante.
Yeah. I also saw something on a funny thing, like it was like, if anyone knows the account Battery Voltas on Twitter, this meme account, someone made a meme like saying this at the Saudi Arabian. Like, I don't like memes that like of a situation, but I found it's kind of like, give me a chuckle, but it was because it was relatable in a sense. So the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix is basically Cars 2 is a Cars 2 copy. If anyone gets like, so missiles yes in both movies. Red car fighting for win. Sustainable fuel E10. Sustainable fuel Anil, which wasn't really sustainable, but anyway. Engine failures. Oil company with tons of money. Oil company with tons of money. Lewis Hampton Racing. Human rights in F1, no. Human rights in cars because there's no humans. And Grand Prix suspended. Final Grand Prix suspended. So yeah, someone went through all that detail, but I just found it. But I don't really like people making memes about a situation, but I kind of just found it a bit relatable in a sense. But
Clever.
Clever. But yeah.
Gosh, that WTF1 though. Mercedes powered 11th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th.
Yeah. I think their engines are just low down. I don't think I don't think the engine's an issue. I think with those cars, McLaren, Williams, and Aston, I think it's a car concept. I don't think it's like, you see Mercedes last week, they were 5th and 6th, like, no, 3rd and 4th, like, so like that. Mario Andretti has tweeted, clearly Kevin Magnussen so far has shown Superman performance given limited numbers of laps on a circuit new to him. So
yeah. I mean, to RJ's point, you're seeing them coalesce around the Haas relationship, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, they're also saying that there's other parties besides Andretti. That's the only one publicly talking about joining Formula One, and that makes me think of how many other big fish might be out there.
Yeah, there's this Pantera's team as well. I think I think I
Yeah.
butchered that name, but there's another team like that. But I think it's an Italian. I don't know where it's from, but that has been circling around for a bit. But I think Andretti is the main one that's in the public spotlight.
Yeah, they're looking to add three teams. They want to get up to 24. I think they've. Did Damon Collins say that out loud?
Yeah, he said that, but at the
Well,
minute
yeah.
he said at the minute F1 is competitive enough that they don't want to add any more teams. But I think in the future they do want to add more teams, but not at
Yeah.
this minute.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
they're telegraphing 2024, it seems to me. But now with Vegas on the horizon, are we going to get something at the end of this season?
Boo.
No. No.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I definitely think those predictions for Max Bin in qualifying it could happen because after what happened, like he's definitely pushing that car, and yeah, and those cars are very sluggish as well. Like so, they are like you saw. Like I think was it Science. Like he did make a few. Like there is a mistake in those cars. Like they're not stable. They're not on rails. Like
well, funny because that is why some of these other drivers are not as quick, but not on their normal times. Because there is a. I mean, like, we talked about this before, and I think we were in a space. I think Rory and the thinker, we were having that conversation about being quick versus
Yeah, I remember that space. Yeah,
it's we're seeing it now again.
Yeah,
We're seeing it now again where he can be incredibly quick, but he's not tactical when he needs to be.
Yeah, he doesn't like you saw last year. Like he thought he went all out, but he didn't think he could have lifted off a bit to get through the whole to ease on that corner. But he decided I'm just going to go get his max performance like
in a meaningless event because he was going to get pole if he came out and pushed the freaking thing home.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, just so interesting. Gentlemen, I am going to hop off here. I got some stuff I got to get to, and then I'll see if I can catch up with you all later. I've never done one of these before, so let me go out on a limb and say that. So thank you all for making it a little easier and comfortable. Truly appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a great time.
Great time,
We'll catch up later.
Sounds good.
I'm gonna hop out as well, guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been an awesome one. I think we covered a lot of ground in this episode, and by all means, like, I guess the show must go on, whether it's for the right or wrong reasons. We know why, but be interesting again because it's just nice to have Formula One back. It's crazy to think that this is only the second race because all the drama and speculation leading up to these events in itself could have its own separate thing. So really excited to see what's gonna happen here.
So if we want to set up a race setup, I know we've been talking about it so we can make fools of ourselves. How do we go about that? I mean,
in terms of like Formula One, on the video, on the console and stuff like that, you can just buy the video game. You can use like a pad. Let's see if I've got one nearby.
Is it like it's like a controller, like a Xbox controller?
So I think
I have PlayStation is my deal.
Oh, well, Wayne, I could potentially join you on that. I've got a PlayStation 4. So all you have to do is just basically get the game, purchase the game, and you can basically use your controller to drive the car.
Yep.
And on the PlayStation, there's like an inside software, recording kind of software that it has, where we can live stream it on YouTube and stuff like that as well. So a lot of fun to do as well.
We got to get it going, Rory, too. You and me.
So
me and Wayne,
we're rolling with the Haas's, baby, though.
I'll switch. It sounds like everybody's got Xbox. I'll switch consoles.
It's
AMG Dens is your team. PlayStation.
You and Dens can do it, and then me and RJ can do it. Like
Team Wayne and Dens versus Team Rory and RJ.
we could do like on separate consoles, but like we could do like SC could do the fastest lap on different. Like me and RJ could do like a combined lap time, and like you and Dens could do a combined lap time and see together who can get the fastest overall lap time. Like on.
Yeah,
we could do that, or like we could set each other challenges to do like on the like me and RJ might have to do a challenge and you and Dens might have to do a challenge, like so.
Yeah,
we could do it that way, like so.
Be good. Makes me want to play Mario Kart now. Not gonna lie.
We
Really
need to get a
bad.
Nintendo then.
That's what you know. What that's what we need. I want a special topic: Mario Kart. F1 drivers as Mario Kart characters. That needs to be really good.
We need to do that. That'd be a good episode.
That would be
That would
good. We'll break it down. We'll break it
Yeah,
down.
or like, did you see? I think you were mentioning with Sector 4 podcast.
Yeah, the
like
Sector 4.
They were
Oh.
doing one like a F1. If you could add Mario Kart Circuits to the F1 calendar, like it'd be
Which one would you do? Yeah.
Rainbow Road.
Rainbow Road, baby. Rainbow Road. Love it. Well, let's try to meet up later on a Spaces or something, and if not, break down the practice sessions. Rory, if you
Yeah, I'll definitely.
you're gonna host one and tag the DRS zone, but if you guys are okay though, I will give you like the handle account info. 'Cause I think it's good just to get like live coverage of it. And it's when it's tweeting now, it's just Wayne and myself. So
Yeah.
but if you guys are cool, that it's like no pressure. If anything, it's just like, you guys send me DMs anyways with stuff, and I more or less just try to retweet it.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing just on the account, but it's just like hopefully the premise again is like you can have your own personality or style to it, but it's just trying to have like somewhat neutral takes in a way, not being blasphemous or anything too crazy.
Yeah, no, I think I'll definitely might do one on my account and just tag the DRS zone in, because I think it's just easier. I think, but from going on, I'll probably do like DRS zone as well, like on the DRS zone on Twitter. But I think from tonight, I'll just do it on my account.
Yeah.
But I'll definitely say like at the end or whatever, like, hey, come on, please follow. Here's I'm plugging. I don't I don't plug myself on it, but I definitely would plug the DRS on, like, so because it's like it's something that it has to grow. Like I'm happy with the amount of following I have, like, so it's okay. Like, you see like people with like 20, like we're on the way to 250 people now. So on Twitter, like, so.
Yeah, I've grown a little bit because I mean. And I usually just ever so often, maybe once a week, just tweet out to follow the DRS zone.
Yeah.
We're getting there. I mean, slowly but steady. And it's also, I think it's a quality thing, because it's nice to also get some of these spaces where you're getting consistent interactions with people, but it's also nice as it's grown. Like now I'm seeing a few faces I've never seen before, and they're always in the same spaces, which is cool.
Yeah, I think as well. Yeah, I've been trying to push to get the Discord up as well. Like, so it's like trying to get a bit more people into that. It's slowly joining. I think as well. I think because we're getting most of our interaction on Twitter, I think we should focus on the Twitter.
Yeah,
Instagram. The Instagram is a bit dead at the minute, but it's okay.
Oh, it's like, yeah. There's also though I don't know how to create it, but you can create a community on Twitter itself where it's just like a feed of the same people tweeting the same stuff. It's essentially a long chain of DMs.
Yeah, it's like that.
I don't know how to make those though.
No, I don't have that feature yet. It's only in America at the minute, so I can't. Yeah, they're only trying it in certain areas. It's only like base at the minute, so it's. Like I think Diplomat was
communities thing.
Yeah, it's like that. I don't have that on my. How do you have it? It's only on laptop. Is it on laptop or is it on mobile?
No, I'm in a Lewis Hamilton community. I could.
The 44. You're part of the 44 dance.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and they have something going on there, where it's just a regular.
Like,
is it that one that is on about Rory, or is there something like new?
I'm in a what do you call it? What's one I'm in? Let me see.
Cult?
No, not a cult. No.
They only made me take a blood oath.
No, I'm in like I have a list. No, I'm in a list. I'm in a list in those list ones where they share tweets, but I don't have communities for some reason. Mine's up to the latest update, but I don't have communities for some reason.
Update your phone as well, Rory, and see if it makes a difference. Because I've got
my phone's at the latest update.
And how about Twitter?
Twitter, I every day I refresh my app store to see is it does need to be updated, and it hasn't said.
Yeah, I think the way they did it was somebody created it and they sent me a link.
Same here. I got like a link, and then it comes up like on the top communities on like the top bit there. So, yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. I don't know why I don't have it yet.
We can figure it out. I think we can figure it out, and RJ could probably set it up and then send out the link, and then it becomes like the DRS zone.
Yeah, on Twitter,
and then people can join that. But I think growing Twitter is the way to go, and then you can then transition those folks onto other platforms because
Yeah.
they're there already.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Gentlemen,
So.
I'm going to hop off. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Likewise.
evening.
Likewise
Same
as
with
well,
you.
guys, man.
Enjoy
Likewise.
it. We'll talk soon.
Enjoy. Bye.
Take it easy,
Bye.
guys.
See you. Bye.
Peace.
How do I leave now? Oh, there.